Welcome back to Uninformed Movie Reviews. We're taking the month of January off, but we decided to re-release some old We Did a Podcast episodes that were movie-centric. Just to put it into context, this was before the last election cycle, so we're full-on Bernie Bros in this episode. Hope you enjoy Top 3, Bottom 3 movie sequels.
Hello, welcome to We Did a Podcast, episode 23, with your hostess, with the mostest,
like
David and Danny, and then that means that I gotta be Frank.
I like these question marks.
To be Frank, and we're here today to do a thing.
Have you ever seen someone almost drop a stack of books, but somehow right at the end they like only dropped one or something?
That's my specialty, like recovery. You know what I mean?
It was kind of like a spelling bee
like,
rhythm. You know what I mean? When you're not sure of the word, you're just like H-A-I-T.
No, you're not gonna count me out right then. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. You're not gonna stop me. I'll keep going.
What
now.
was the word?
That's more or less the vibe.
Oh my god.
Here we are.
Today we're going to talk about our favorite movie sequels and also our least favorite movie sequels.
And Frank, I think you should start us off.
I'm just going to dig my teeth into it.
Get in there, man. Give us your bottom worst.
My bottom
sequel.
worst.
The worst of the worst.
No, not the worst of the
best
worst.
of the worst.
The
This
first
is the
of the
best
worst?
I guess the least worst in a list of 3.
We just did this before we started this too.
So
We're making this way more complicated than we need to. I think people understand a tiered list. It's the internet.
I don't know, man. Have people seen lists on the internet before? For my first of my 3 films, I actually have 2 films. The Hangover Part 2 and 3. The sequels that probably maybe didn't need to exist, but
Absolutely didn't.
Gotta go out there and get that money.
Yeah.
Gotta get that money. I think that's what makes a bad sequel. Greed, for sure.
What an analogy for Hollywood too.
Yeah.
Hey, we had a good idea. We had a flash of fire in the pan. Quick.
Tell you what, let's just do the exact thing. But where can we put it like abroad somewhere?
And that's the unfortunate thing about these 2 sequels. It's very much one of those very called in sequels. Everybody called in to work that day, and it relies heavily on how good the first one
Oh
did.
yeah.
I never thought about this, but this is essentially an adult version of Rugrats in Paris.
Oh my goodness, that makes it kind of, yeah, dude. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I've never seen Hangover 2 and 3.
Have you seen Rugrats in Paris though? Because that's a more important question.
Obviously, it's
Okay,
on my
good.
top 3 movie sequels of all time.
That was close. We almost had to kick them off of the
We
channel.
guessed it. Yeah, I know.
The Rugrats movies were great,
They
especially
were.
on that orange VHS tape.
I think that was
Yeah,
like the dawn
true.
of Reptar too.
But I digress. Comedy sequels, I think, are the most egregious in this thing you're talking
Oh,
about.
100%.
Where they swing around for another one. They're like, hey, remember the joke in the first
They don't
movie?
change
You
anything.
guys laughed
Yeah.
at this last time,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. We're looking at you, Anchorman, too.
Ooh, that's a
shots
bad
fired.
one.
That
I'm so
should've been on my
surprised.
list.
Yeah.
It was so
I
forgettable.
fell asleep in that theater and I was completely.
Wow, that's usually my
Awake.
job.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to derail this whole conversation, but I was literally telling the story today. We were driving to this gig. We were going to the New Mexico to that like thing in the mountains that I
Silver
never
City?
made it to, whatever it was.
Oh, I know.
with
the
Joe
praise
Stalin.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the praise thing.
and you
we
were talking
just talking
about a different
this
story
earlier
today too.
I was telling them
This
how we played
breakdown.
21 questions in the car for like 4 hours.
I was telling the exact same story today. What time were you telling the story?
like when
set
you
up.
weren't in the room
Oh,
earlier
that's weird.
just now.
Okay,
Yeah.
mine was like earlier this afternoon. How weird. But I was saying like we had Anchorman 2 and we stopped watching it.
Yeah.
It was
Even
on
when
an
you had
iPad.
nothing to do.
We were in a car
We were
in the
just
middle of the
sweating
desert
in a car. That's all we
for
yeah.
6 hours,
Mm-hmm.
and we turned off Anchorman 2 to play 21 questions because we were bored.
This was in the middle of like July too.
Yeah, it was in July in the desert. It was not a good day,
Nothing to do, and you don't
but
even
actually
want.
full of memories.
Yeah.
It was a bonding experience
Okay.
for sure. We had to overcome some boredom.
Consensus is Anchorman 2 did not need to be made, especially so far after the first one.
Yeah, which Hangover, to its credit, at least they were like bam, bam.
That was like
bam.
a year afterwards.
They
wasn't
really
it?
they put them close to each other, but I mean I can't speak for it. I didn't see it. I don't know. I totally am not doubting your.
You didn't miss out on anything.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the good ones.
It's like what the Hangover reused its jokes.
I just for you filmmakers out there, it's all right to do like one thing, do really good job at it, and then just do something else. You can just do another thing.
I feel like it might be the studios though.
Oh, for
That
sure.
are just
yeah.
like, you know what, we'll give you all this money to do it again.
And my example is actually very much like studio getting its hand in
yeah.
the pot.
Well, why don't you
But-
tell us what's going on with that, David?
Oh, okay.
First off, I agree with yours.
Thank you.
I do agree, and I also think it's just interesting.
They're not good films. So.
That The Hangover made Zach Galifianakis' career, and then also killed it at the end of the trilogy.
Yeah, well,
he has some other stuff.
He was
got
doing the
more
heavy
work,
lifting.
You know what I mean? He was still getting paid.
But remember when Hangover came out? It was like boom, and then it was like, oh, due date.
Well, that's when
blah,
he
blah,
like
blah,
started
and,
getting paid. Yeah,
let's do it. And then it was like, I feel like he's already kind of drifted off. He's got that show where he's a rodeo
Between Two
clown.
Ferns. Oh, and that too.
No,
and,
the one on FX.
Baskets.
Yeah, which is really enjoyable.
I haven't seen that.
It's good. Louis
He's
Anderson's
just so funny.
performances.
Like he just flies, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I love him, and he did a lot of the heavy lifting in the sequels of The Hangover. Honestly, I think if it drove like anyone's career down, it was probably Ed Helms.
Ed Helms is like the guy who tries really hard. But he's not going to
so
cut it.
hard. Yeah.
I mean, every time I watch The Office too, I try and give him a chance. And then I'm watching season 8. I'm like, I hate Andy.
He's the worst. And that's like peak bad.
The worst.
Andy.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, they do this thing where they like screw with your emotions. Like we want you to like Andy because he's a nice guy. And then they made him the boss and like, no, you should hate him because he's the new Michael. And then he goes away. And then he comes back and they're just like, okay, no, you should really hate him. Yeah. Because like he's
now you should feel really bad for him.
Yeah.
Like it's like really,
now he's baby Wawa.
It's all over the place.
Baby Wawa.
But that's really the other problem too. In The Office, they just decided to try and make him Michael.
It was bad.
When Andy was originally his own character.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what they did that for. Wow. So many tangents.
And he's already bad enough on his own to just be a terrible boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just imagine working for that character would be a horrible experience.
You know, before we go on to, I mean, Bradley Cooper, I feel is just so like middle of the road. Like, Bradley Cooper
He's a very vanilla
is like,
actor.
it's like Wiener Schnitzel. It's like I'm never gonna want to go to Wiener Schnitzel.
Oh,
you know what I mean? But if I'm there, it's like, all right, I'll get some chili cheese fries.
Dude, there's so many times
I
where I'm
love
like,
Wiener
you
Schnitzel.
know what?
I want
need
Wiener
I
Schnitzel.
need to
That
almost
example.
die from the amount that of
right.
salt I'm gonna eat.
Chili
I'm
cheese,
going to Wiener
fries.
Schnitzel.
Let's back up real quick. Let me try this one more time.
Hey,
Edit point. Bradley Cooper is kind of like the Arby's, you know what I mean? You're never like, I want to go to Arby's, but then you just kind of have to do it. You know what I mean? And if you're there, you're like, fine, I'll get a turkey and cheese, whatever.
I
probably
agree
just
with
won't
that.
eat, yeah.
I try not to eat
I try not to eat there.
Every now and then I forget and I'll go to get some Arby's and then like 20 minutes later I'm like, oh yeah, that's why I don't eat
always hurts
Arby's
my
because I
stomach.
feel like I'm gonna die now.
Arby's not a sponsor.
Please no.
Please don't hit us up.
Do not contact us.
We're good on that.
Although their social media game's really good.
That's what I heard. Them and Wendy's and Burger King.
I don't know. It's like the thing now, right? Yeah. To be quippy with.
I wonder who they
fast
hired.
food
They just
places.
hire some guy who's like a troll.
Just some,
Just like a natural
Maybe
troll.
Big Money Salvia.
big money. So,
One of them's like DJ Khaled.
yeah. There you go. No, that he just shout his name the whole time.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, well, let me get on to mine. We'll see how
if it was him.
how more distracted we get here. I actually kind of have two movies too. Both came out 2000, 2006, hot off the heels of both having solid first and second parts.
Okay.
It's X-Men 3 is an honorable mention, The Last Stand, and Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
Spider-Man 3 is for sure my pick of Terrible sequels.
Le Terrible.
Quickly about X-Men Last Stand. The guy, and I can't remember his name right now. Brian Singer. He pulled out of X-Men 3.
Also a creep.
Also a creep now, like
Yeah.
what we know from all this Me Too stuff. But he was involved in that Superman Returns movie.
Oh yeah, with Nicolas Cage.
No, not that
Oh,
one. That's a Tim Burton.
that was Tim
Superman.
Burton.
That
That's
didn't
right.
happen.
That's right.
This is the one with I don't even know what his name is. What an unfortunate movie. Like that
God,
movie's
who's
just
it gonna
gone.
be?
I don't know. It's before. Well, it's not Henry Cavill. He's the new one.
Right.
It's the guy before that. But the point is like that movie wasn't particularly well received.
No.
And if Brian Singer, I mean, even though he
Brandon
is a
something.
creep, if he had stayed there, oh, you're right.
I think it's like Brandon something.
Brandon's. It is
something
Brandon
about guys
something.
named Brandon.
But
They're the worst.
They really are.
they really are.
Bad at comics too.
Yeah.
Bad
Don't
at
belong in
comics.
comics.
They don't know how to comic.
If he had stuck with X-Men 3, we might have at least gotten a good movie. But in that one, they like killed off pivotal characters immediately.
Kelsey Grammer is Beast.
The Dark Phoenix line was just a sham too.
Yeah.
It was like they had such a cool X-Men story to explore, and then I'm hoping the new one will be good.
It's such a bummer because they have like Angel in that movie, and I actually think he was like
Underutilized.
decent and
Yeah.
totally underutilized.
You just get
Yeah.
a sprinkle of them every now and then.
yeah. Well, they never put him in another movie, another X-Men movie.
and Ellen Page was in that one a lot
That's right.
too.
She
and
was Jubilee?
No, she's a Shadowcat.
oh, Shadowcat. That's right. That's right.
Kitty Pryde.
Kitty Pryde.
But not Oh, X-Men, but not exactly, a killer performance either. But really, what I want to talk about is Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 is a terrible movie. It's directed by Sam Raimi, and
Love him.
The story behind it, the lore of Spider-Man 3, is that Sam Raimi wanted to do a movie about Sandman. And he wanted to deliver a great story. And if you think of Spider-Man 3 in your head, all the Sandman stuff kills.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The actor's performance is great.
Thomas
What's that
Hayden
actor's
Church.
name?
Yeah.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah, that guy always
He's
does
amazing.
good stuff, man.
He's
And I mean,
great.
there's really emotional scenes from him too.
Yeah, it's great stuff. Yeah, you get really invested in his storyline.
Yeah.
Which I think that Sam Raimi did a great job in Spider-Man 1 and 2 of making villains that you can relate to what their motivation is.
They stuck to the one villain formula.
and
too.
they stuck to the one villain formula, whereas Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield, they were shoving stuff in. That second movie is a total mess.
Oh, it's so bad. Jamie Foxx is so bad.
Oh,
in
he's
that
so
one.
bad.
Oh,
Jamie Foxx is a really hit or miss kind of dude.
he can be a great actor, but man,
Yeah.
what a bad role to put in.
Well, speaking of bad roles for people, they managed to shoehorn Topher Grace. They managed to shoehorn Topher Grace's Venom.
Christopher Grace.
Yes,
He's
Christopher
great,
Grace.
yeah.
And this was the thing I was getting at. So apparently the studio said, Sam Raimi, you can't do a movie about Sandman. This is the end of the Spider-Man trilogy. We need to go out on a big note. You need to put Venom in because that's what people want to see. And Sam Raimi was like, whatever. You don't tell me how to make my movie. And he decided to kind of sabotage his own movie, essentially.
Nice.
And apparently these scenes he put in, he knew that it wasn't going to be well received, but he was like, you know what, just give me that paycheck, and I don't really
Ouch.
care.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's
I'm
kinda
gonna work
fun.
on an Evil Dead reboot or
That
something.
makes me feel a little better about it. It's a little punk rock.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sam Raimi's super punk
He's
rock.
always been punk.
You
yeah.
watch Drag Me to Hell and Evil Dead, you're like, okay, this is pretty
Love
punk
me
rock.
some Drag Me to Hell.
It's just really unfortunate because the Spider-Man trilogy could have been perfect.
yeah, you really could have.
If they just ended it on some Sandman, maybe developed the Harry Osborn a little bit more, but instead we get this mutated Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
The Venom's all
And then-
scrawny. He's
well,
not
and
right.
they make him Hobgoblin too.
Yeah,
you know
he's
what I mean?
which he should be.
He should be the Hobgoblin,
But the way they handled it, it's no way. Brandon's giving me a no.
Brandon's saying he's not Hobgoblin.
Are you saying Harry Osborn's not Hobgoblin?
No, he becomes the Green Goblin.
But isn't he Hobgoblin for a while?
Is he? I know he turns right
in the
into
movie? I think he's credited as Hobgoblin.
No, I'm talking about the
Isn't he?
the history of
No,
Spider-Man.
in the
Doesn't he?
comics,
Isn't he
becomes
Hobgoblin
Green
for a while?
Goblin before, even if he does become Hobgoblin.
Okay, we can't hear
he's
any of
Green
this.
Goblin first.
Brandon's saying
Brandon's
even if he
correcting
becomes
us.
Hobgoblin,
that issue.
that he's Green Goblin first.
Can you please look it up over here, Internet Tech?
We're getting that looked at.
Can you run home and grab your issue?
Yeah.
Bring it for the next.
So anyway, the point I'm trying to get at, so the Venom stuff's terrible. The Hobgoblin, Green Goblin stuff, awful. But then the worst part is they put this whole emo storyline where Spider-Man's turning into a bad boy to impress Gwen Stacy or something, and then he's dancing, and then people always knock on the scene where he's dancing down the street, giving the finger guns, and he's got the emo hair.
Yeah, it's
Isn't
really bad.
Is
And then
it
he
still
goes-
MJ?
It feels
goes into
so
that bar-
awkward.
well, remember, he meets Gwen Stacy and he he recreates that kiss scene that he had with MJ for Gwen Stacy, and MJ's like, which rightfully so. Obviously.
yeah.
It was a total mess up move, but it was because he was already infected with Venom,
He
which
was
really
black
just makes
bad
you
boy. Yeah.
douchey, I guess.
Got
is
that symbiote.
what they say Venom does. But then the dance scene in that parlor where he's doing that jazz number or whatever. The worst part is there's a bunch of terrible
Also
CGI.
feels a little bit like Anchorman.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that is that's the flute scene in Anchorman, just slightly different. So yeah, Spider-Man 3 is my bottom one. There's a story from my life where, and I'm gonna try and sum this up quick because I don't want to take too much time on it. In high school, I had these two friends. They were brothers. One was a year older than me. One was a year before me. Spider-Man 3 was coming out, and we would always watch movies together. So, I had to ask my mom to go to Tinseltown that morning and buy the tickets because that's how things worked in the late 2000s.
You
So
had to call the movie
Yeah.
theater and go through the button menu
Yeah.
and then listen to all
Welcome
the
to Movie
movies.
Phone.
12:15 Incredibles, 12:45. It was ridiculous. So my mom went and bought these tickets, but it turned out she only got 2 tickets because they were sold out. I got the last 2 tickets to see Spider-Man
Were
3.
any of those tickets to Paradise?
No. Oh, God. And then, so yeah, I'm talking to these brothers who are my friends, the one that's older and the one's younger, and I just told the older brother, hey, dude, I only got 2 tickets. And he was instantly like, well, he's obviously not coming, right? And we told him, we were like, sorry, man, we got 2 tickets. It's Spider-Man 3. We're not going to miss Spider-Man
Dude,
3.
you got voted off the island. Them's the rules.
I mean, I knew him first. He's older than you. This is how it works. Talk about karma, though. Never in my life has karma so quickly come around and hit me for being selfish. What I should have done is given them both the tickets. Here, you guys go enjoy it as brothers, and then laughed about it at home.
You would have saved yourself. You would have saved yourself.
Brandon, were you able to figure out what's happening over
he was
here?
never Hobgoblin.
He was never Hobgoblin.
No.
Oh, wow.
Update. Never
Whoa.
Hobgoblin.
Harry Osborn was never
Spider-Man 1 is
Hobgoblin.
where he becomes Green Goblin.
So in the Spider-Man cartoon show, he's also Green Goblin? Interesting.
Yeah,
Brandon,
Hobgoblin's
can you
a
just
totally
yell
different-
so that people can hear you? Can you just yell everything you're saying?
Brandon, it's hard to hear him because he's off mic, but Brandon's basically saying that he's wrong about not only this, but all of his comic book knowledge he's ever shared.
Brandon
So,
just gave us a
interesting.
big old, nuh-uh.
Actually, well, Danny, why don't you share your 3?
I think that was a very apt assessment of
Thank
Spider-Man
you.
3
It's awful.
because it is god-awful.
Yeah.
And it felt really bad because Spider-Man 2 was a great example of an awesome sequel that makes everything bigger, better, and more. You get more invested.
One of the best superhero sequels.
One of the best games,
yeah.
too.
Oh,
Just
right.
like
For
start off
GameCube?
the trilogy
Oh my
really
goodness.
strong and
Yeah.
then just face plant on that landing.
Yeah. So
And
sad.
he did it to himself. He just basically was like lighting the fire and just...
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much.
Toss the burning rag
Yeah.
into the,
But you know what? I
the
can
gaseline-soaked
appreciate.
building.
I can appreciate the chutzpah.
Yeah, that's
of his
kinda fun.
decision.
Yeah. Yeah, you got those big execs. Okay, so my least of the worst. See? Yeah. That's it.
You got yeah. You got it.
I feel like anyone that knows me knows that this is probably coming, but I'm going to go with a movie I waited a long time to see as well. Alien Covenant. This it's very heart-wrenching because I actually waited in the period from Prometheus coming out to when Alien Covenant was announced, to when its title was announced, to waiting and actually researching and trying to figure out more about the show, this movie, because I was so interested.
Yeah, for those that don't know, Danny's a very big Alien
Yeah.
series fan.
He's
Yeah.
like the alien guy.
Yeah, and I thought I was, I don't know, I was very stoked
It's
about
a good default gift for me. If I don't know what to buy you, I'll just look for like an
Something.
alien
Yeah, isn't that
figure.
nice?
Yeah. Yeah, and then, but I think it was a bad omen when I saw that they were changing the name before they put the movie out or they announced the movie. They're like, it's not going to be Prometheus 2 or Paradise anymore. It's going to be called Alien, Covenant.
Yeah, because it was Prometheus Paradise Lost, right? Is
It
that
was
what
just
it was?
Paradise. And well, originally it was Paradise Lost. Then it was just
Yeah.
going to be Paradise. And then it was just, which would have been super interesting. I mean, all right, this is what I'm going to say. It's not written by David Lindelof, who came in and resurrected and kind of made the script what it was in Prometheus, changed the whole scope of the game from being a science fiction horror action movie to being somewhat of that, but posing more questions, having more poise, having more delicacy and more...
Yeah.
I mean, obviously created more mysteries that weren't answered.
It's
but-
a headier movie.
Yeah.
It deals with like philosophy, whereas Alien was just like straight up we're in this situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No big philosophical question.
Absolutely.
Like a monster movie or something. Yeah.
And I don't think that Alien was meant to have any deeper meaning than that until maybe after Aliens. Like James Cameron came in, threw in all these questions and things that could have expanded like he always does. And I mean, that's what made it like a big universe. And then all those crappy sequels happened and stuff.
Yeah.
Alien 3 is not bad. But like getting back on track, it's also directed and produced by Ridley Scott. And he wanted a big hands-on role in this one as well. My only problem is that they like completely scrapped the idea of like exploring the engineer mythos, which they were like promising since after the first movie came out. I mean, that's
Which is
how,
what you really want to know about.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if spoiler
Yeah.
alert, if you haven't seen the end of Prometheus, which
Come on.
it's your problem now,
Yeah.
but like.
Wow.
It just basically cuts you off. It's a big old cut off. It like leads
Yeah.
to like a proto xenomorph, and then it's just like, where are they going now? Where's Shaw going? We're gonna go to the engineer home planet. We're gonna explore more deep religious views through Shaw, who's like the only character who has religious views, which is like kind of like the existential questions we're posing in this whole thing. And then it's just like this movie.
Yeah, the Shaw thing is abruptly like,
It's like-
they don't even show her. There's
They
like,
don't
yeah, she
show
died.
her.
No mas.
You
She's
didn't
dead.
even in
Forget
the
about her.
theatrical cut. You do not see her. They just
Yeah.
say she died,
Yeah.
and you don't even see the body. Like I've seen the extended scenes where they show her. They show like the prosthetic thing of
They
her
should've
that
at least
she's all
kept
ripped
that,
up.
yeah.
It just looked weird. She looks like a giant female body part, let's say, and it's really strange.
Well, I'm glad they cut that out then. If it looks really bad, you know what I mean?
It doesn't look terrible, but it would have been cool to just be like see something visceral and be like, okay, I guess that's better to see like what happened. They're just like, yeah, no, she just doesn't exist anymore.
It feels really cheap when she's the main character of the previous film, and it's left on a cliffhanger, like what's going to happen to her, and then they just don't show it. That was a huge bummer of the movie.
Exactly, and I mean, Ridley just kind of retconned everything, and then he kind of turned this into less of kind of like an existential religious philosophy movie, and he kind of turned it more into like the spawn and creation of AI. It's definitely a movie about creation. You know what I mean?
Just like the first one, I think. Prometheus is also a story about creation.
And it's like a spurt into more of the AI focused one, because this is definitely about David. This is now David's story for sure. It was not Shaw. They were posing it to be Shaw's story, but
and that stuff worked.
Yeah.
The stuff with Michael Fassbender worked because he's a great actor.
I mean, he kills Prometheus.
He'll carry it. You know what I mean? That's what he'll do.
He plays like he plays an android, and then also plays like a later version of the same android. So he's like playing like an iPhone 4 and then an iPhone X.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's great.
And one that has like achieved this consciousness that knows like it's impervious to anything, and you know, so I mean the screen-on-screen shots of Michael Fassbender interacting with himself are just incredible. It's seamless. Like you do not even think that there's someone else. I mean, you do not even notice that there's no one else there.
It's definitely better than Eddie Murphy in The Nutty Professor. I will say that.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's better than Eddie Murphy in Coming to America.
Yeah. Well, actually, I would probably reverse those. I love Coming to America.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Coming to America is real good.
They are making a Coming to America.
That's true.
Coming to America.
Oh my God.
Actually, I don't know if that's what it's called, but they should.
It should be.
They should credit me for that.
Wow.
I'll credit you with that, man.
Thank you. Just to comment a little bit more on this, I would say like Alien Covenant. It was just my problems with it. It was a way to like hammer-fistedly like shoehorn the xenomorph like into it, because I knew Ridley had gone on and saying he was like, you know, I'm getting kind of tired, getting kind of old. I don't know why I thought I was gonna make like 3 or 4 more movies. I kind of just want to hurry this stuff up and you know, move on to like Gladiator 2.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. He is moving on to Gladiator 2 though, and I think that might be what is part of this. Yeah.
Coming soon to my worst sequel list.
That's another thing.
Why would
do
you make a
wait?
sequel to Gladiator 2?
Can't you just make one?
He's dead.
Yeah, he's dead.
The Gladiator.
Everyone in the
he
movie
died.
is dead.
Yeah, they all died.
I haven't seen Gladiator.
You've
he's never seen Gladiator.
That's fine. I mean, it's like a movie from like 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's your fault now.
It
But
is.
we just have to watch it. There's
need
so much good stuff in between. My goodness.
Yeah, script.
So I've already given you a little bit of a synopsis.
I know.
Some,
Are you not
episodes
entertained?
before this? You know what I mean? But
Well,
man, let's do it.
I think it's kind of funny because when Alien Covenant came out, we planned to do a review of it.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think we ever got around to it. The timing was weird.
Did you see it?
And by
You
the
did.
time, well, yeah, we saw it, and I hated that movie when it came out.
I really hated it.
There's some good Wagner in the movie, but Wagner's an anti-Semite, so it's like, what's good Wagner?
I also am not a huge fan of extremism or maximalism.
Yeah.
But
Well, fair enough.
like I would say that the scenes that did work for me were that first piece, the first scene with Wagner, where David's talking to Guy Pearce, who's Wayland, and he literally is talking about consciousness and all that. That first scene, beautifully made. And then the scene with David talking to himself, and then you get the scene where you're kind of promised, where like he has the derelict ship, he's hovering over the engineer home city, and he drops all the black goo on him, and they're like, wow, and you're like, dude, this is the coolest part of the movie.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to see. But then at the same time, that's it. That was what happened.
The thing for me about Covenant, and I'll share this quickly here. The first one is Alien has gotten away with making the same movie essentially like 5 times.
Yeah, well,
and
more.
I really like Prometheus and everything. Like I enjoy a bulk of the movie, but the movie always boils down to someone's been exposed. There's a chest burster. Now it's a full-grown xenomorph. Oh, now we have to, most of the time, launch it into space, which is what happens at the end of
in
Alien
Prometheus.
Well, that's how
And in
you kill a xenomorph.
Yeah.
In the handbook, when you get to the end, it's like, okay, launch it into space.
Except in Aliens 2 in every video game where you just gun them down.
Sometimes you
droves.
gotta go outside
And in
the
Alien
book.
versus Predator, you just like xenomorphs are suddenly the easiest thing in the world to kill.
Because like fire was the only thing that would the genius of the first one was that they were in a vacuum sealed ship, so you can't shoot bullets all over the place. So they had to use flamethrower. That just went out the window.
Yeah, so that's one thing. Those movies just they feel a little bit tired, and then like in Alien Covenant, it was so egregious where they were just like, the movie starts off with them hovering around this planet. They get woken up because they were on a course to go to this planet that these scientists had surveyed for years.
Like
For
decades.
decades. They're
Yeah.
like, this is the place we're going. Then they wake up and they decide, it's not even that they're running out of supplies. They're like, oh, but there's this planet over here that might work. Why don't we check it out?
Yeah.
And then they get
That's
closer.
just pure laziness.
And
guess
then they're
what-
like, oh, it's in a storm. Let's just
Yeah.
head into the storm.
Well, the thing is, like, they don't see the planet at first, but then they get a distress call from it.
That's what
and
it
then they
was.
check it out.
And it's like, guys,
And that's the same formula.
James Franco
It's
just
the
burned to
same
death in his,
alien
in, his,
formula.
in his bed. Are we
Yeah.
really doing this right now?
Hey, but what if we just abandoned
Yeah.
the mission we were on for 20 years?
I just love
crazy.
how
It's been a long
fast
time.
James Franco dies. I remember
So
being
I do-
really
I did like
excited
that-
about that in the
that
movie.
part of the
I was
movie.
like, yeah,
'cause he
okay,
was-
cool. Just let me know. Anyone can die. Let's do this.
They
He's
put
like,
out that little prequel teaser
Yeah.
before the movie. So you watched it and you thought, oh, James Franco's going to be in this. And then you watch the movie, he dies immediately.
Yeah, technically he was in the movie.
He was. But you almost don't even see him.
Yeah.
The only other thing that kind of gets to me is like, and I never thought about this until you're talking about it right now. That movie could be a really good 30-minute short where all you do is cut up all the David stuff.
Yeah.
And David discovers another David who's been stranded on this planet for years.
Oh, man, that would have been cool.
And that'd be a really nice little short story.
Yeah.
So coming soon to an edit near you.
Hey, there you
I'm
go.
going to work on him, see what I can make happen.
So, those were my gears grinded from that. Gears ground.
Ground well.
Ground.
Good
I
job.
would agree.
It's a fine grind. Not too fine, not too coarse.
It's like enough
Yeah.
for like a,
Like a French press.
French
Yeah,
press.
yeah, yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
fine French
Very
press.
Little green.
Frank, give us your 2.
My number 2. Every scary movie sequel after 2.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the first and the second, and I remembered enjoying them. And I always wondered, is that just because I was super juvenile? I went back and watched them
you still
recently,
are.
a few months ago. Yeah, and that's part of the thing. Still super immature, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Here
They're
we
still
are.
very funny.
Yeah.
But 3's not good, and they just go way downhill after that.
Yeah.
They just
Is 4 the one where they
it's
do the
amazing
signs
how
thing?
fast the decline goes. It's like exponential. 3, I'm pretty sure, is when they do the science.
The science thing
yeah.
with like the Meryl and
The one thing that makes me laugh in that movie is when the Mel Gibson type character is talking to the lady sheriff, and every time she turns around, the hat gets bigger and bigger
that
until
was
it's
pretty
just like
dumb.
huge. It's kind of a fun gag,
Oh, that is pretty good. That's like
but
some
it feels kind
classic
of like
stuff.
British Monty Python-y
Or
kind
like
of
that
gag. Yeah.
airplane kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
gag.
for sure.
they just got really gross too.
Well, and then it caused that spiral of spin-offs like Meet the Spartans,
Disaster
Date
movie,
movie, Disaster movie, like
Lordy.
all of
Straight
these
to
movies are
DVD.
just gross.
What's the horror
Yeah.
series called? Because there's another one that came from like the Wayans brothers camp.
Oh, they did one that was like,
Like a
paranormal,
Paranormal
activity.
Activity.
Yeah.
Paranormal-
Oh, that's right. Meet the. Oh, yeah, you're right.
Paranormal Entity.
yeah.
No, Paranormal Entities. I think it's a spoof movie that's just bad. That's like a ripoff of
Okay.
Paranormal Activity. I don't know.
That's scary.
Who knows? They're awful.
Yeah.
And they're barely satire. It's basically like if Family Guy was even lazier.
I have like walked into random people's houses that like I've met, and that
Yeah.
like not random. That was a little weird. I have just like walked into random people's houses.
Like that's how you meet them, by just walking into their house.
What's your name? What's your name?
Scary Movie 3, I'll show myself out.
Okay, I'm out. But yeah, I have gone to like people's unknown houses. This is like the first time, and then watching them like liking movies like that or like laughing at movies like that, and I'm always just like, what?
Yeah.
We're probably not going to be great friends.
Hey, you want to
No,
watch
it's-
American Pie Band Camp?
Yeah.
I need to go home, man.
Sometimes you
shower
just have
from
friends
that.
that like really bad movies, like
Yeah.
I don't know, Love
Like
Guru
the Love
or something.
Guru.
Yeah. If I had a friend who liked Love Guru, I don't even know what I would do. I'd be like, man, I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
Probably constantly tell him mean things.
Yeah. Because he would deserve it.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be someone who likes Weird Al.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like has
Yeah.
a lot of Weird
That's
Al.
the type of person.
Yeah.
That's the type of person who would
Some
like
kind
to
of
love
psycho
Guru.
who's like, you know
somebody who
what,
also
Batman v
finds
Superman's
Weird Al
better than
funny.
Infinity War. Someone who would say some ridiculous stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that was even too far. Brandon was like, no.
Woo. Okay.
Fun times. I forgot what we were talking about. But for those of you who aren't familiar with Scary Movie, it's it's like a parody of horror films. The first one is just straight up like Scream, and they take a couple jabs at a couple other things about other movies, which is fun because Scream's already kind of a parody of like horror tropes.
Yeah, it's a
So it's like
criticism of like slasher movies.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And some stuff is heavy-handed, but that's what you got in this time from comedies. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
really
It had to
heavy.
be slammer.
You gotta like slather it on real
Yeah.
hard. You know what I mean? And the second one, they just do like this haunted house story. They have like poltergeist and this
That's pretty
professor
hilarious.
like hires everybody. And that one's
Oh
got
my
some
God.
good stuff.
David Cross kills it.
Yeah.
David Cross almost always kills
Chris
it.
Elliott.
Almost.
Chris Elliott's
Small
the guy with
soldiers.
the small hand.
Yes, yeah, the butler with the
his
tiny little
strong
baby hand.
I think he made that movie, to be honest.
I'm gonna be I don't want to be a stick in the mud here, but I've like never liked Scary Movie 2. I've always been like,
David,
The
that's okay
humor's too
because you
lowbrow.
are a stick in the mud.
but the same
and
thing.
we love you for
the
it.
same thing like with Jackass. Even as a kid, I was
I
like,
love
this is too
Jackass,
immature.
yeah.
Like I can't watch this.
Dave was so mature over
Yeah.
here.
I was like, excuse me, can we put on Godfather Part 2?
That actually does sound like something you would say.
I mean, I was
Yeah,
at
yeah.
that age. I was
That-
watching
that sounds-
Godfather. I was like, oh, it's a great film.
I don't feel like you're making any of that up at all.
No.
I've gotten less pretentious, if that's imaginable.
Have you? I think you're just more
Actually-
confident in how much you love yourself now.
Can we just turn off this Jackass 2 copy and have my Laserdisc copy of Godfather 2 put on?
I have some betas of the Star Wars unedited trilogy. Can we just watch that?
But yeah, that's all I really have to say about my two. If you've never seen Scary Movie, watch the first two, see if you like it, or see if you're a fuddy-duddy like
Yeah.
David. And if you are, then just watch Godfather Part 2.
Herp,
It'll be a
herp,
good time.
herp,
Not to put anything down on Godfather. Just do it. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
But David, why don't you tell us what you don't like next?
All right. So my bottom two is Godfather Part 3. No, I'm just joking. That movie is terrible. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should have put
about
Godfather
bad
Part 3.
sequels.
I'll be right back for that one. Diary of the Dead is my next choice, which came out the same exact year as Spider-Man 3. I also saw it in theaters, and it was like, I loved the Spider-Man movies. I loved the George Romero zombie movies. That year was like, whoa, everything's coming out. And then it was just like, bam,
And then it just
disappointment
backhanded
slapping me
you.
in the face. Yeah, I'm pretty sure like the prequel trilogies ended that year too, didn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like 2003.
No, it might have been a little bit earlier. It might have been like 2005. that
Okay.
Revenge
There's
of the
some
Sith
rough
came
years
out.
for your movie watching years, man.
Yeah.
Movie.
And not that there weren't great
Movie.
movies. Movie. Okay, so I'm going to take you real quick through George Romero's saga in case you're unfamiliar. George Romero's zombie movies, not only did they pretty much invent what like the modern zombie is and the rules that we apply to zombies when we think of a zombie in our brain, but basically every decade he updated us with this continuing degradation of the world as afflicted by the zombie virus. And each one was kind of like a allegory for some kind of facet of our life. So it started in the 60s with Night of the Living Dead, and we had just a Night of the Dead. So like humanity still had the upper hand, and even in the end of the movie, they're going around killing all these zombies.
We'll show these stupid zombies
Yeah.
what's what.
Great. And in the 70s, you had Dawn of the Dead, which is a
Awesome.
famous sequel.
Amazing.
Yeah. People think it's a little hokey now. I mean, it's a movie from the 70s, but there's still some themes and stories in it that are really good. And that's very much a criticism of commercialism and like consumerism, especially with like the mall setting and everything. Then you had Day of the Dead, which is just like gross. And that was in the 80s. So then we jump ahead a little bit. Land of the Dead came out, had John Leguizamo in it, with Dennis Hopper. That was like in the early 2000s. And when I saw
Yikes,
that
Dennis
movie,
Hopper.
I was like, ugh, already the CGI was over the top, which was like in the old movies, that wasn't an option. There just was no CGI.
Yeah.
And it looked great. But then in the 2000s, horror movies were trying to get cheaper and they got lazy and they were like, let's just add in this thing. And nothing ages worse than early 2000s CGI.
Oh.
Like there's
It's
some
like
stuff that looks
PS2
terrible.
graphics,
Yeah,
basically.
it looks disgusting.
About fish. Ages
That's
pretty
fair.
terribly.
The band?
That's fair. Although people do eat
Maybe.
aged fish.
I think so.
Maybe
like a
also the
dried
band.
fish.
People
True.
do eat a dried fish.
Okay, I retract. Sorry.
Fair enough. So yeah, Land of the Dead came out, big budget movie. To be honest, I don't know if it did well or not. It kind of continued on this whole thing about like the zombies getting smarter, and it was kind of about like civil unrest and taking on the 1%.
Which is the one with
Of
Bud?
the zombies?
Is that the one with Bud?
Bernie. No, Bub shows up in Day of the Dead, and we
Okay.
find out that zombies can learn
And shoot.
and shoot a gun and which is funny
kinda
because
like one of the Planet of the Apes sequels.
well, it's because in Dawn of the Dead, there's a scene at the end of the movie where this guy, the zombie, grabs a gun and he's like holding it the whole time, and they know to hold on to things. So when you watch Day of the Dead, now the zombie's like aiming the gun, like their access this kind of memory. In Land of the Dead, they start like literally communicating with each other, and like one of them gets like an assault rifle and he's like aiming the gun and shooting.
Oh my god.
It's like, oh dude, come on, we can't do this. And basically there's this tower called Fiddler's Green. All the rich people live up at the top, and they like pay money to all these poor people to do jobs and take care of, you know what I mean? It's all like, you know,
There's still an economy.
exactly. So somehow, so then let's fast forward. Diary of the Dead is the movie I'm like really wanting to get into. It's really bad, and basically what happens is George Romero, like as a 70 or 80-year-old man, decided he wanted to do a movie criticizing like social media and like the internet.
Nice.
So in this
I
movie,
already like where we're going with this.
it's POV. It's like Blair Witch Project.
Yuck.
Only some of it.
Oh,
It switches. It's like it's a
That's
it's a
not
mess.
good, man. That's not a good choice.
There's scenes where two people have cameras,
Oh,
so
are
you
they
have it
split screen?
switching between
Oh,
their
no.
cameras. It's really bad.
It's even worse.
The effects are terrible. Then it's clear that George Romero just doesn't understand like anything about like he's like, oh, you kids, oh, you know, you're getting your movies, you're putting them online, you're showing the world what you could. It's like really bad. And there's this part where like they literally stop what they're doing to upload their video to YouTube. Like we got to show the world what's going on. And then while they're saying this, there's like a TV playing with like all the chaos being shown on the news. It's like, guys, no one's
So the
watching your
news is
vlog
still
right
around.
now. Yeah.
There's somehow an electrical grid, and then there's
Yes.
someone running the servers for YouTube.
Yes. All
And
of that. Yes.
Or they're all zombies. Maybe they
That's
learned how to run
true.
the servers.
It is kind of ridiculous for at this point in the zombie apocalypse that like people are still on social media.
or the internet.
we need to back up too, because like in the other movies they went in succession,
Okay.
where you watch Land of the Dead and you're like, okay, this is after Day of the Dead and things are really bad. This is like all of humanity left. Diary of the Dead takes it back and puts it in some weird state where it's like there's zombies but there's still a lot of people, and then there's news channels, but then places are overrun. It just jumbles the whole thing. And the worst part of it is there's this scene in the movie with this mute Amish man who's carrying around dynamite, and he communicates through signs.
Okay.
It's one of the worst things I've
Like-
ever witnessed.
Not signs though, right? Like signs, I'm assuming.
Like I'm pretty sure it's a chalkboard sign that
Wow,
he writes
okay.
on and holds it up like this to the camera, and then he throws dynamite at zombies. I don't know what they were thinking, but
Now, see, I thought you were gonna say he communicates with dynamite and just throws
two booms
signs.
means yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately,
One boom without any response means I am dead.
yeah, it means I messed up. I didn't throw it far enough, man.
yeah, George Romero, it's sad. I mean, he's gone now, and he had a huge impact on horror as a genre, but he really slipped down
That's
in
a
the last
bad
final years.
one.
He should have stopped. At
So
Land
did
of
he
the
have
Dead.
any hand in that comic series that you were reading?
You know what? I've read some of it. He did write some of it, and that one is called Empire of the Dead.
Yeah, I read like 10 issues or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read some of it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not anything to write home
Pretty
about.
much the typical thing.
Yeah. It introduces vampires.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, there's vampires in this scenario now too.
Because when all else fails, just toss vampires in there.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Gotta do it.
Make them pretty.
Well, let's hop on over, man. What do you got for us here, Daniel?
Now, this is for my second of the worst. Just going to go ahead and throw this out here. It is one of the comedies. We're on the comedies. It's also a movie that we were talking about. Once you make a good comedy, don't think there needs to be another one. Also, maybe do it in a timely manner, because this is about Super Troopers 2. I love Super Troopers 1. One of my favorite comedies of all time. We still quote it on the daily. Our
very
Rocket
good
League
movie.
team
Yeah.
is Team Ramrod, but our real club
Unofficially
is
Ramrod, yeah.
we are
Unofficially
Great Big
Car
Convoy,
Ramrod.
but we are Car Ramrod still. But
Say it.
you know, okay. So for those of you who don't know, I mean, Super Troopers 1. It's about a bunch of highway patrolmen. This is like year 2000, I think it came out, 2001.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's by a small comedy troupe called Broken Lizard. I think they're out of Vermont.
Very funny films.
Bernie.
Sorry.
Anyways, so that was like their debut film, which led on to other films you might know, like his Club Dread, The Slammin' Salmon.
Salmon.
Also
so
pretty good. Beer Fest, one of the best.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So they are an amazing comedy troupe. I think they're awesome, and they've done better things with exactly kind of the same formula every film. They went back and kind of did the exact same formula here. It's the same director, one of the Broken Lizard crew, Jay Chandrasekhar, who also did Dukes of Hazzard, I think. I think he was like the one that did that.
The one with
That's weird.
Jessica Simpson
Yeah.
and
Johnny Knoxville,
and
Sean William Scott.
Sean William
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, it was kind of weird.
Which
Willie
came out,
Nelson.
It's one of those weird movies where like two similar movies come out at the same time. Like they did a Dukes of Hazzard remake and they did Starsky and Hutch like within a couple of
Oh,
years.
true.
Oh my
And they're
God.
both
Got
like
an
shows from the
Armageddon
same
Deep
period.
Impact thing going on.
Exactly, yeah.
Wow. So I think a bit about this movie. It's like the plot follows the Super Trooper crew. All of them are back, being called upon to set up a new highway patrol station when an international border dispute arises between United States and Canada. So apparently in this plot, somehow some of the U.S. border was actually part of Canada. So
They were looking at the wrong map. It was
yeah,
one of the rough
everyone
drafts.
apparently. Yeah, they're like, oh, these stones here didn't move. I don't know, real dumb. But I mean, it's a comedy like that. The really interesting thing was the film was completely crowdfunded because they couldn't get it going. Part of me thinks because the studio was like, hey,
It's a dumb idea.
this is a really dumb idea. Also, this is like 20 years almost later.
Yeah.
Like you can't expect the same kind of comedy to land.
You know, if they built some kind of structure, like some kind of giant, beautiful stone wall along the border, then there'd be no issue about where the line was at.
Exactly. The line
Just
is
saying.
the line. The line is the wall.
I'm just saying.
You know, things can't go over that. So it ended up being crowdfunded, which I mean, it's kind of cool. I was willing to donate on the idea. It reached its crowdfunding goal in just 24 hours, and then it doubled it. So their budget was actually, let's see, only here. I think they only did the movie. Technically, it was still a success because of that. It's a $13 million budget. Box office
Hey.
raked in $31.6 million.
That's not bad. They did all right.
It's a win-win. Yeah,
Yeah.
people win. I mean, I'm sure I honestly think they'll try to do another one.
I mean, Farva's not number one, but
Probably
still did all right.
I still haven't seen that one yet. I'm most hesitant about comedy sequels. Horror movie sequels, give me 8 Saw films. I'll watch all of them. Let me watch all the Friday the 13th. But for some reason, comedy, I don't know. I just never do it.
It's
Just
just
bad
hard
jokes,
to do
you know?
a good comedy sequel.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
just it's like watching a bad stand-up.
Ugh,
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
you
It's
turn
worse
that
than a
off.
bad stand-up. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
just
And not even one that's so terrible that it's hilarious. Just
cringe.
like nice, like middle of the road bad.
You're 100% right because if a horror movie gets really bad, at least it's still kind of funny.
Yeah.
Whereas a comedy movie gets bad, it's like, oh,
well, that's the thing. It's like a horror movie gets ironically funny.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then a
Unintentionally, yeah.
comedy is just like, ooh, this is just like,
painful.
oh,
Oh, this is getting unintentionally scary.
this is kind of turning into a horror movie. Yeah.
That would be a weird thing to go through, man.
Well, so that's mine. I was really bummed. I mean, I still watch it. There's some funny moments, but just the jokes don't land and they're kind of dated.
Yeah.
And I was really unimpressed. How about you, Danklin?
So for my number one, because it's number one time of the threes, the bottom threes of the one. Friday after
Eloquently put.
next, the third film in the Friday series.
Oh.
Friday, awesome. We've all watched it together like multiple times.
do love
like
Friday.
for sure.
Yeah.
Very quotable. I quote it at work all the time. Next Friday, still pretty good.
Yeah.
Goes off into the suburbs to move in with his cousin Day and his uncle. He butts heads with the cholos next door. I feel like you haven't seen this
I've
one.
seen that movie once with you all, and I'm pretty sure I slept through the whole thing.
I like Next
Nice.
Friday.
Yeah, next
Yeah.
Friday is still
Yeah.
pretty funny.
This shows the difference in our like upbringing. You know what I mean?
100%.
We had a very different childhood, the two of us.
I
or
realize
the three
that
of us.
all the time.
Movie.
That's what he's saying right here.
You're saying that Friday After Next is the best Christmas movie? That's one of the reasons I don't like it, because they force
I
the
like
Christmas thing in.
the Christmas part of it. I will
Like
say.
they put Christmas in there, and the whole like main issue in Friday After Next is there's this like robber dressing up as Santa Claus, and he's breaking into people's houses and stealing all their stuff.
Yeah.
And Craig and Day Day are working as security guards for Top Flight Security Company.
All of a
So
sudden.
now they're like detectives, like, because it's
Yeah.
not like, I think they steal something
like
from the little
rent-a-cop
strip mall that they work
detectives.
at, but it's not like they work in these neighborhoods, but now they're trying to stop this like Santa Claus bandit, and they're just, yeah, it's super weird.
It's way out of the jurisdiction.
Detective Day Day and Craig, yeah, it's super weird. Feels weird.
It sounds bad.
There's a few like good quotes, but there's not great stuff.
I think it's one of Cat Williams' first movies.
I think
it was,
yeah,
like, his
Cat
big
Williams is
first
for sure in that
debut.
movie.
That's strange. Talk about someone whose career really went down.
And
oh my gosh.
it's one of Brandon's favorite something, which means it's terrible.
There you go.
Man, we're taking shots at Brandon because he has no mic, and it's I love it.
It's nice. I
love
love
100%.
a soft target.
That's great.
I'll have to agree with you. It's not a terrible movie
It's not terrible, but as a sequel,
to that.
yeah. To drop the ball so hard from two films that were like extremely funny.
I think it was one of the.
It's like 1 and then 2 is like still pretty good and 3's just down here. You know what I mean?
I think this was definitely like the top of the slope where Ice Cube realized he wanted to do really bad films
Yeah.
afterwards.
Oh, what if I just don't try hard?
You know,
And
there's
then,
too
they
much
still,
money.
and then you still just pay me.
I'm still just Ice Cube.
Yeah. I'll just
Somehow
do
he
this.
still retained his street cred after all the dad movies, though. Still.
Although 21 Jump Street, when Ice Cube is just angrily eating that sandwich, it makes me laugh so hard. He's so good in that movie. It's nice that he did something funny again.
Yeah, that is good.
Oh,
that is
God,
really good.
he's so good in that movie.
I watched that one with Charlie Day that he did. School
Oh,
fighter,
I
fist
heard that was
fighter.
bad.
So bad.
Poor Charlie Day.
I don't think I've seen that one.
He's had some rough movies
Really
recently.
bad.
Ooh. Well, Horrible Bosses 2 is also one of those movie
Not that
sequels.
bad.
It's not bad,
I forgot
but
they
it's
did
just
a
like,
sequel.
It's like, oh, okay.
They didn't need to do it. Horrible Bosses was like a really great plot for
Yeah.
the first one.
Another one where Jamie Foxx had a so-so performance.
Yeah.
Hey,
Throwing a lot of
he's
callbacks
MF
tonight.
Jones,
Yeah,
man.
right. That's true.
I do like MF Jones.
Is that all you have about
That's all I got about Friday After Next. There's not a whole lot going
Yeah,
on.
what
to
else
it.
are you gonna say,
If
right?
you've seen it, that's really it. My main not super huge on Christmas, so
Yeah.
that's already deduct some points. And then the whole like Detective Craig thing just kind of throws me off every time.
Yeah, it's just not the vibe.
Fair enough, man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for my most disliked sequel, I think it'd be really easy to pick Attack of the Clones.
Easy.
I mean, it'd be easy just to pick anything in Star
Soft
Wars and
target.
really go in on it. I mean, Rogue One's not technically a sequel, but let's not get into it.
That's
I'm
trashy.
I'm not picking Star Wars though because I feel like I'm always talking trash about the prequels.
They know.
Originally, and on my paper right here, it says Boondock Saints 2, 2009.
Which isn't good.
I'm throwing myself a curveball though because you know what? Like, to be fair, I didn't even finish Boondock Saints 2. I started watching it. I got like 20 minutes into it. I noticed that Sean Patrick Flannery or whatever, the guy who's not Norman Reedus, he just looked haggard in
He
that
looks
movie.
so
He
much
looks
older.
so bad. And Norman
Yeah.
Reedus looks almost the same age.
He doesn't age.
Like he looks a
He
little
almost
bit
looks
older.
the same right now.
He's a little boyish in Boondock Saints.
Yeah.
You can tell. But
I'm
like
gonna
even
look up
today,
Sean
he looks pretty
Patrick
good.
Flannery.
Dude, he looks bad in Boondock Saints too. His face is almost unrecognizable.
These two pictures next to each other are really funny.
Yikes.
So curveball for you all, including myself. I am going to pick Godfather 3. Just talking about it
Nice.
right now.
I like it.
We were talking about like this whole taking a break for a sequel thing, and I pulled it up on my phone here. Godfather comes out in 1972.
Okay.
Godfather Part 2 comes out in 1974.
Wow.
And
they
if
got
for
on that quick.
Exactly, right? Back to back. If for some reason you're listening to this podcast and you haven't seen Godfather 1 and 2, you need to stop this right now. You need to not come back to our channel until you've seen both films.
I thought you were going to tell him never come back again.
You know, I've never seen
like,
the
wow.
full Godfather or Godfather 2.
Does he have to stop?
I haven't seen Gladiator
I
or
have to
Godfather.
stop. Okay, so we have a big movie watching weekend
Yeah.
coming up.
3 hours.
So check it out. Godfather's really a story about.
Well, and we got a good Gladiator, man. We're going to be doing some work.
Well, I'm not going to spoil this for Danny, but Godfather's a story about Michael Corleone, who's Al Pacino. He is the son of one of the most powerful gangsters, Vito Corleone, who is played by
Don Vito.
Marlon
Marlon Brando.
That was a good
Brando,
Brando, man.
Why is it like that you don't use?
The thing is to say no words. That's the key to a Marlon Brando impression. So anyway, Marlon Brando has a few sons. He has 3 sons, and it's sort of an adopted son. Basically, though, Michael is
Rando, Lando, and Tando.
Michael, who is Al Pacino.
Marlon, Harlan.
He's the good. He's the good kid. Marlon Harlan.
Darlin.
You're naming all the Wayans brothers. He's the good kid. He's the war hero. It takes place in the 40s. And The Godfather's all about a story of like Michael getting sucked into this crime life. And then it's just a classic crime tale. If you've ever seen Sons of Anarchy, it is The Godfather.
Because it's Hamlet.
Okay.
Because it's all these like stories, these
So
classic
Al
stories.
Pacino rides through the storm all alone?
All alone. The second movie knocks out a crazy performance because you're having the story now focused on Michael. But at the same time, it's going at the same time as a flashback story.
This is number 3?
This is 2.
Oh.
When Vito comes to America as an immigrant, like to Ellis Island and everything, and it's played by Robert De Niro.
Whoa.
So it's like the second movie is Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. They never appear at the same time because
Wow.
they're in different timelines.
Weird.
But it's amazing. And I'm not going to say the ending because Danny's here and he needs to
It's like a
experience this.
monumental thing. Okay, gotcha.
The last scene of Godfather 2 is one of like the most beautiful moments of cinema, where you see this story. Like I'm talking the last 10 minutes. If you've seen Godfather 2, you know what I'm talking about. They tie this whole story together and then just like take you back to the beginning, and it's like incredible what's happening. Now, these were in the 70s, right? Godfather Part 3 came out in 1990.
Oh, wow.
Years later.
That's rough. That's
And-
going to be a rough one.
I there's no easy way for me to say this, but the only thing that happens in this movie is that someone has sex with their cousin.
Ooh,
That's
Weird.
what goes on.
that's not a great thing
My-
either.
Al Pacino has a daughter who falls in love with the bastard son of his brother who died in one of the earlier Godfather's movies. So then there's like this weird kind of
Drama.
the daughter and then that son who are their first cousins
Yeah,
by
that's nasty.
their fathers are brothers.
by blood.
But yes, there's
They're
no
blood
there's no
brothers.
hopping around over here. They end up. That's the central theme of Godfather 3. They're in love, and there's like this forbidden love story. It's really gross.
It's not forbidden in a fun way like Romeo
Yeah.
and Juliet with like warring families.
Yeah.
It's like, no, they're the same family. And
Exactly.
it's a very close relationship.
Very
yeah.
close
Yeah.
family too. So then, Godfather 1 and 2 are almost one movie. It's one of those things like Kill Bill 1 and 2,
Got you.
where it's one story. You know what I mean? And it's broken into 2 parts because it'd be too long
How
otherwise.
amazing that it came out 2 years later, but it's
Yeah.
like, and they probably didn't even plan the second one.
Well,
you
they
know?
were books.
Oh, they're
so
books, they're
I'm
books.
sure that, and I never read the book, but I'm sure that there's
Francis Ford Coppola, right?
is the director.
Is the director, okay.
Mario Puzo?
Andretti.
No. Godfather 3, though, and I'm going to spoil Godfather 3 for you. Godfather 3 ends with an assassination attempt on Michael Corleone. And they shoot Michael, and it goes through his body. It doesn't kill him, but it hits his daughter behind him and kills his daughter.
All right.
Nice.
And
nice
then
shot. Nice shot. Nice shot.
She like bleeds out in Michael's
Thanks.
arms, and he's basically, after everything that he's done, this life of crime, he's finally paying for it with his daughter that he loved, even though she was committing incest with her first cousin.
Yo.
It's
Kids,
completely
don't
unnecessary.
commit incest. You'll die.
Incest ain't cool.
That's really the
Al
moral of
Pacino
Godfather
will shoot
3.
you.
Yeah, don't watch it, everyone. Don't waste your time. If you've somehow only seen Godfather 1 and 2 and you're like, maybe I'll watch 3 and just, I just no. I'm serious. You're pure right now. Don't taint your life. Don't tarnish your soul with what is Godfather 3.
So you're saying if I
Wow.
watch Godfather 1 and 2, just don't even bother.
Never,
Okay.
under any circumstance, ever. No
For
matter
any
for any
reason.
reason. No, who, where, don't watch it. Okay, Danny, what do you got for us, man?
Wonderfully done. Scottisms. Well, I'm gonna, top of my bad list. This is probably one of the. It's definitely a disappointment in my life. One moment where I was just like, I just don't want to believe in the world anymore.
Wow.
And it was fairly recent. It's
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
You know which one?
I feel it.
I've said it before on this on this podcast.
Last episode,
I know
think.
now because I
Yeah.
looked at your notes a little bit.
Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom.
Now that's an ironic name.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I hadn't even thought about that until now. Written by Derek Connolly and Colin Trevorrow, the man who resurrected from Jurassic World, who did like a decent job.
And didn't Colin Trevorrow do Rogue One?
Huh.
Or am I incorrect? Okay.
No, that was Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, the guy who did the Godzilla. Reboot. Yeah, you're right.
Colin Trevorrow was like
Godzilla
an indie
2000?
film. No, 2014.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thank
Colin
God.
Trevorrow was like a indie film creator what's the word? Maker. Anyways,
Indie film director.
Maker, creator, doer.
Seer.
Sorry, yeah.
Gareth
He did
Edwards?
Safety Not Guaranteed.
That's
That was
what I
his
gonna
indie
say.
film. Yeah.
That's the only other film he's ever done. And then they were like, just take Jurassic World.
What's so funny that you mentioned that because that's exactly what happened with Gareth
With
Edwards.
Gareth Edwards.
He did that Monsters movie.
But it was in the same vein. You know
I
what
guess
mean?
that's true. It was in the wheelhouse. It
Yeah.
wasn't like
It wasn't just like, let's get this guy who made this weird, wacky romantic comedy to handle a sequel of a franchise who's been dead for like 20 years almost, that's tried to been resurrected like 3 times. And has
Nobody
had
wanted to touch it, and they were like,
no
"You,
one wanted
sir,
to touch it.
do you like dinosaurs?"
Yeah.
Hey, let's get that guy who did Slither to do some kind of ensemble superhero movie
Exactly.
on a bunch of characters no one knows.
Yeah.
And then fire him later for some
And that
tweets.
works. Yeah. I mean, it worked. But, it's just, it's the saddest thing is that technically this movie was a success. That's the worst part of it. So there is
Like
going to be
a
more.
success.
Success.
Not like a success.
Well,
but
yeah.
No, this is like a
yeah.
And
money coming out of a cannon
yeah.
success. I mean, $187 million budget made over $1 billion and still going. And it's insane. It's insane. It's like, I mean, the film is way too long. First off, there's a whole half of the film that does not need to be part of the film. It takes place, it's got a resurrected Lost World vibe for the first 20, 30 minutes of the movie, which I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. All right, because it's a great thing to go
I
off of.
guess we'll do that.
Yeah, we'll do that. And there's I'll be real. There's some cool dinosaur scenes in it and some cool scenes, but it just turns into this weird haunted house movie with like a creature feature in it, and then there's
It turns into Resident Evil 1.
it does turn into Resident Evil 1. And it's like there's so much genetic things that they're trying to do right now that are just dumb.
Yeah.
They're just coming out of these like B-plot films.
Now,
And it's,
genetics, man, they're exciting.
yeah, we'll just start cloning things, and
Yeah.
it just gets wacky. Let me tell you. And then there's also like these like stereotypical Russian people who are like coming to buy dinosaurs as like bioweapons for war.
We're going to sell him to the Saudi Arabians.
That's exactly it. There's like
Terrible
all these
Russian
bad
accent.
guys with like the typical monocle,
Yeah.
like sitting
Oh
in the
my
mansion
gosh,
trying to
really?
buy. I'm serious.
Nice.
That
It's
bad.
cheese factory. It's like it's bad, man. And so like
I like the sound of that. A cheese factory. Maybe it could be run by, I don't know, two brothers and a mouse.
Is there any way?
would one of them shriek?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That could be
Whoa,
fun.
It is Shriek.
What?
Sorry, I'm getting super confused here.
Shrek?
We're talking about Mouse Hunt, right?
Yeah, for sure. We're talking about mouse.
We were.
Okay.
Except this one's like creature feature dino hunt in a mansion. Which is really bad.
Sounds less fun
The
than Mouse
funniest
Hunt.
part of that superhero bid too is that they're not even bidding like more than what a modern missile would cost. So does that make it good that dinos as bioweapons are like affordable? Or does it make them just dumb for wasting their like coalition's money? Because it's like
Yeah.
they're charging less. I think they were only charging like the most was like $4 million for like
Whoa.
the Ultra Predator.
If you think
Oh,
about
okay.
it, if you buy a bunch of guns, you just got to keep buying bullets for those guns. You got to
Yeah.
maintain them. If
man,
you buy a dinosaur,
How many
he's gonna eat a
cows
whole
you
bunch.
feeding that dinosaur? You know what I mean?
this
Think
di-
about
You
Jurassic
don't
Park
feed
1.
him cows. You feed him enemies. Like he feeds himself.
feed him
while
the
he's
blood of
doing
your
his
you
enemies.
make
job.
sure
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
hungry because he's this ultra smart predator who can't escape any
Oh, and is it the
cages. He's directed. It's the Indominopter
the
or whatever.
Indominus Rex?
No, it's the Raptor now. They made a
Oh,
small.
they made a smaller one.
and it's mixed with Raptor, and it can open doors, and it knows when people are hiding under bed sheets, but it doesn't know where they are when it's on top of a statue and they're right below it.
Huh.
Wow.
So, I don't know. Obviously, I don't have much to say about this film, but I will say it was a huge disappointment, and I'm very angry.
I'm sorry, man.
Be angry, man. It's
I
okay.
feel
Feel
your
your
pain.
feelings.
Yeah, never be ashamed of your feelings.
Never.
A lot
Everyone,
of-
communication is key.
It is. I can't keep it hidden anymore.
Gotta let it out.
So, got hate in your heart. You gotta
I
let it
just
out.
can't fight this feeling anymore. Sorry.
I gotta say though, yeah, really big disappointment. Hate it. I wish they never did it. So, yeah, that's me.
Fair enough, man. Well, Frank, let's switch gears. And
Yeah,
let's
let's
do
stop
our
talking
good
about
movies.
things that make us feel
Yeah.
bad. Let's talk about some good stuff.
I like that.
Let's
Okay.
talk about our good feelings.
Sounds good.
My one I feel the third best about. Ghostbusters 2. What a
Ghostbusters
delightful sequel. We talked about so many comedy flops. It's nice to talk about a comedy that was able to do it right. And they didn't rely super heavily. All the same characters are still in it,
Yeah.
but they don't rely super heavily on the events of the first one.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like callback.
No,
Yeah.
100%. It's very much its own film.
It's like the perfect example of like a Hollywood sequel. It takes everything that works and it amplifies
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Amplifies it right.
The 80s did it right when they did sequels, for sure.
Even 90s.
For sure.
I think some 90s ones too,
Yeah.
but like
90s is a weird time
Yeah.
for like everything. 90s is very much like a yin yang decade where like a lot of
this
things
good
were
stuff.
really awesome, but
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
a lot of things were really messed
And
up.
also, a lot of people were buying things with the yin yang symbol on it.
True.
Also true.
namely puka shell necklaces.
Oh my gosh.
Classic 90s puka shell yin yang symbol.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, Ghostbusters 2. We get a lot of really cool stuff. Like, I'm just going to jump to the end really quick, and you
it
get
to
the
me.
Statue of Liberty, like, going around. What's the name of that song? What's it called? I feel like it's not
One
higher and
Bit
higher.
Down
It's got to
Love.
be something different.
Higher and higher.
Yeah, the whole kind
One
of thing
Bit Down
about
Love.
Ghostbusters 2 is this, like, sludge running underneath New York City, and it's all of, like, everybody's negativity, and it just, like, amplifies the negativity. You get, like, a really cool shot where they discover the river of this slime. Yeah, it's a river of
I got
slime.
slimed.
And they all like fall in there. They're all fighting with each other because they're covered in negativity. So they figure out how to charge the negativity. Like they reverse the polarity of it. So now it's like positivity. And they just squirt it all up inside of the Empire State Building, Statue of Liberty, excuse me. They just squirt it up and they're really good. Just squirt all over the place. And then they go and fight. What's the big bad monster in this one?
Isn't it the Pillsbury Doughboy?
Is it Vigo?
That's the first one.
Vigo is the antagonist. Yeah,
He's the antagonist, but at the end, the museum is covered in slime, and that's what they're
Yes.
using the Statue of Liberty for.
Yes.
They need a bunch of positive energy to break through this thing.
Okay.
So they can save Dana and
Forgot
the
the
baby.
tail end of it here. Yeah, you
Yeah.
gotta save Dana and the baby.
Yeah.
Not Venkman's baby though.
No, it's like her baby with some other guy, right? But then that guy leaves her or something
Yeah,
like that.
it's like an
It's-
X that
been a
happened
bit.
in between the two films.
Which I love about Ghostbusters 2, because at the beginning you catch up with all the characters real quick, and like Venkman is on some show.
He's like a child like entertainer and like not a really good one.
Well, he's not the child entertainer. He has a TV show, right? The child entertainer is
Dan
is
Aykroyd
Dan Aykroyd
is-
and,
yeah.
and Ernie Hudson.
Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, and it's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great opening scene, man. That's excellent.
But you get God, who is that supporting actor too? Because the main antagonist is
you're talking
Vigo.
About, you're talking about the curator. That
Yeah, the curator of
weird
the museum.
Eastern European guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
He does that super weird accent. That's a fun character.
Yeah,
You get a lot of
he's
fun
fun.
stuff from him. He's like super squirrely and I don't know. But also at the same time evil. He's like
Yeah. Some people hate on that movie, like especially in the 80s when it came out. It was kind of divisive, but I loved it. I've always loved it since I was a kid.
I like
The
the first
ratings
two.
weren't great on IMDb, but sometimes they're just wrong.
Yeah.
You know?
It's either you like it or you don't. Like that.
That's true.
That's like one of those movies that's perfect.
And I feel like this warrants shouting out. I mean, people talk all the time about, the new Ghostbusters. People really ragged on it. I really have no position. I'm not interested in it.
I saw it.
They're doing another Ghostbusters with kids, apparently.
Yeah, and it's Jason Reitman and Ivan Reitman.
Yeah, and then people wanted, for a while,
That's
a
strange.
Ghostbusters 3, but now that Harold Ramis is dead, it's probably never really going to happen the way that we'd like to happen. But in case you haven't before, there was a Ghostbusters video game for Wii, 360, and PS3. And apparently the Wii one's a little bit different. I haven't played that. I played the PS3 version. That is written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. The script is written by them. And the cast of characters is fully voice acted by all four original Ghostbusters.
Wow.
The only person missing is Sigourney Weaver. And it actually the game ends on a nice little Ghostbusters tie together.
Oh, nice.
So if you're a big Ghostbusters fan, and then the cool thing above all that, the gameplay's fun. You're a Ghostbuster. You're trapping ghosts in the thing. The game is super cheap now. So if you still have one of those console of that generation,
You get a whole bunch of Slimer in there.
yes,
Nice.
go to GameStop,
feel like
spend
I've
$8
played
or
this
whatever.
game,
It's a
yeah.
really cool game. Apparently, it had online co-op back in the day where the four of you were Ghostbusters together. I never got to play it, unfortunately.
That
I didn't
is
have a buddy to play
unfortunate,
it with,
David.
but I just felt like I had to toss that in because I feel like people don't know about that. But it's essentially Ghostbusters 3, just in video game form. So
That's insane.
I don't know.
Huh.
Coming to a Let's Play near you.
Nice.
Yeah, that
Let
would be a
us
good
play.
one to hit up.
Yeah, that'd be good. That's a great pick, Frank. Ghostbusters 2 is a lot of fun.
I agree.
I did a good job.
Yeah, you always do.
I done good.
Well,
did.
let me hop in here. I had an honorable mention for Evil Dead 2.
Nice.
If you want to hear me rant more about Evil Dead, head over to our Movie Quest B Horror. My number 3 though is, and we've already kind of talked about it a little bit, Day of the Dead. Everybody, Day of the Dead is like one of the best sequels of all time. That movie's also was like kind of divisive when it came out. People did not watch it in theaters.
Nice.
It did not do well. It's part of the reason why, like, George Romero was out of the limelight until Land of the Dead. It takes place in this military facility where it's like there's two groups there. There's these scientists who are trying to understand and maybe find a cure for this virus. And there's a group of soldiers who are like on edge every day, more and more and more. And they're
I've
tasked.
definitely watched this one.
We've seen it,
before.
yeah.
They're tasked with
Full
going out and
above.
collecting samples while the scientists are there running these experiments. And this is it. Like, humanity's been overrun. They live in this thing that's like underground that like literally like opens up, and then around it's like fenced on the outside. So it's one of those ideas where it's really elaborate. Like, George Romero was sitting there thinking like, okay, what's the ideal place to be in a zombie apocalypse in this like kind of cave system where there's only one way in or out?
Like ants.
Yeah, like ants. And it kind of, they are kind of like ants.
Dude, if you
in
want
a
to get
weird way.
ants, that's how you get ants.
That's how you get ants.
They should have made a sequel to the movie Ants. I would have watched that.
I would have too. That was a good movie.
That was a good movie.
Better than A Bug's Life.
So the movie, like, I'm not going to go totally into it. Basically, one of the scientists gets into this like Dr. Frankenstein kind of thing. He's like a mad scientist, and he's doing these experiments he should not be doing because he's interested in Bub, the zombie we talked about earlier, who learns how to communicate. Or not communicate, but he shows signs that they
Of
can be trained.
intelligence.
And basically they're saying, hey, we can't get rid of the zombies at this point, but maybe we can train them better. And then, spoiler alert, it turns out that he's been feeding them human body parts of the soldiers who have been killed.
That's what they like to eat.
Then the soldiers find out about it, and obviously they're upset. And the cast of soldiers is led by Rhodes, who's like this insane madman who gives a performance that just cannot be forgotten. That's my third best. So Day of the Dead's great. The visual effects are maybe the best visual effects I've ever seen in a horror movie. I prefer it to Thing, which is a big thing for me to say.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a big thing to claim.
The people getting like torn apart in the finale of Day of the Dead are just like, oh my gosh, it's so disgusting. And so many of the scenes have been recreated in Walking Dead, so it's kind of cool to see those things.
That's nice. There's a lot of homage.
And in Overlord, there's that scene of that head kind of disconnected.
That was so cool.
That's very similar to the scene in Day of the Dead, and I think Day of the Dead did it even better.
Interesting.
But everyone, it's fantastic. Please watch. Please watch.
Do your homework.
Don't see Godfather 3.
Oh, well, thank you for that little caveat out there.
You're welcome. I feel like I need to remind people.
For my bottom of my tops, I will say, had to clarify it.
Love it.
I'm getting there.
It's the bottom of the tops, but we do it at the top of that part of the episode.
Oh, no. You guys are making this confusing.
It's kind of a curveball, but I changed my bottom of the tops.
There you go, man.
And instead,
Guys, this feels weird. I'm not curveballing at all.
We're
Everybody
franking on
else is
Frank today.
curveballing.
Yeah.
It just is. I got to say, this is a strange experience for me.
I'm going to do Godzilla 2014.
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Reboot, sequel,
Yeah.
takes a lot from... I mean, there's been so many Godzilla sequels.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
people could argue, oh, it's a reboot, but come on, there's like 27 Godzilla movies.
yeah, it's essentially a sequel. You know what I mean?
It's what you expect. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, new Godzilla.
Absolutely. And, you know, if for those of you that didn't see it, it was done by Gareth Edwards, a man who did a little small indie sci-fi film called Godzilla. Did Godzilla Monsters, which is kind of, I mean, it was about giant monsters coming to Earth and
Monsters
invading
is
Mexico.
cool, man. Monsters
it's
is a cool
an awesome
film.
movie. It's like it's really well done on a low budget too, and it does a thing where like the monsters aren't really the main part of the focus of the story. They just kind of are these massive centerpieces. I mean, they're kind of moving around the centerpieces, which is the human drama, which like you understand, and it plays off a lot.
And I was going to say, and that's very much Godzilla, too.
It's pretty much Godzilla, where he wanted to go with it with like a Jaws approach, he said. And it's just like, I think it worked. You know, it's a really divisive film. Some people are just like, it's good, but I wanted more Godzilla, which I agree, obviously.
I mean, that's fair. Although I think the anticipation is built up.
yeah.
Where at the end, you get to see Godzilla in action.
You
and
get
then
the
it's
big
like,
battle.
It really
Yeah.
pays off. Yeah,
it really
pays
does.
off
I
big
mean,
time.
spoilers if you haven't seen it, but I mean, one of the last battle scenes is like awesome. I mean, you
Yeah.
get to see Godzilla rip something's head off, with its blast.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The
And
blast is good. The roar is
atomic
good.
the
breath.
character
Oh, very
design in this
good.
movie is incredible. Like it's
Yeah.
the best that Godzilla has looked modern wise in my opinion.
That's so funny that you say that because in Japan they hated
They
on
hated
him.
thick
And
Godzilla.
They said that he was like an American Godzilla because he was fat.
yeah, and I mean
USA.
He is big. He's the biggest one ever.
he's definitely big.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
would
yeah.
say like even Japanese, even like
Wait, I was gonna say, didn't they end up making Shin Godzilla a little bit taller?
He's
I
a
think
little
they did it
taller.
out of spite.
yeah, they probably did. Shin
Yeah.
Godzilla also a great sequel.
Yes.
Amazing.
And like a
did you
s-
watch it?
Yeah,
Shin Godzilla?
I own it, dude. I love that movie.
Dude, have you
And
seen
it's
that
like,
movie?
No, I have
It's a
not.
pseudo Evangelion movie
It
too.
is.
Ooh, that
it's
sounds
creepy.
nice.
It is dark.
It's
Does it end and you're just like, what?
it's directed by the creator of Evangelion.
It is. Yeah.
And so there's scenes from
Interesting.
Evangelion that are like redone in live action, but in Godzilla.
Dude, and Godzilla
Ooh.
Cool.
looks
I kind of want to check that out.
crazy
Yeah.
in Shin
Oh,
Godzilla.
we'll watch it.
I don't even think he ever gets his full face back. Like he just looks like this. Like he gets like half of it.
Yeah, he's gross.
He's like mutated, and it's really crazy.
Oh, and it's okay. I don't want to say any more about that one.
It's
That's
so good.
great.
But
Very
he is the central
interesting.
villain in that. It's Godzilla. He's like this all powerful thing. I mean,
remake of the first one, very much.
yeah, which
where
was
he
you know
the
I mean it's a
bad guy.
commentary on nuclear warfare.
Yeah, and
which is
still
what it is. And it's not so much the focus on this one. This one's more focused on. I mean, it's basically the narrative of this is that there are alpha predators that existed before
Yeah.
humans, which acted as like agents of the earth, essentially, or we're dominating. We're pursuing domination, and I think there were more Godzillas at one point too.
I'm sorry. I'm so excited because I'm just thinking about the trailers
Oh
for
my
this.
god, it
Godzilla
looks so
sequel.
good! And when we do a T3B3,
Yeah.
I'm really hoping
Oh.
that's on my list as well.
We're gonna do so. Oh god.
Because that trailer for Godzilla King of the Monsters just looks
Yes, dude.
incredible.
Oh my gosh.
And that's soon. I think it's May.
Yeah, I think so.
It's May.
That is going to be fun.
I
That's
just
gonna be a
can't
fun
wait
movie.
to see the Rodan and to see King Ghidorah,
Yeah. Mothra.
and Mothra. It's just, and I think there's another one too. I think they're putting Anguirus in it too.
Yeah, there's probably gonna be some hidden.
We should
monsters.
play a
Yeah.
little bit of Destroy All Monsters too.
Godzilla is
Just,
a
saying.
huge
In
franchise
May-
of mine.
In May, get ready for some heavy Godzilla themed content.
You're gonna get some Godzilla.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna
That's
get a
what it sounds
review in
like.
there. That's for sure.
You know, the only thing I really like that Godzilla 2014. The only thing I wish is that Bryan Cranston was around for more of the movie.
Yeah, that was
'Cause
kind
he's
of
such
a false
compelling
promise.
character. Yeah, and in the trailers they made it seem like he was gonna be a big deal, and they got rid of him very early on. And that's my only complaint because I think that what's his face?
Aaron Johnson. Or whatever
Yeah,
his name
Aaron
is.
Johnson.
He
He's
doesn't
not
hold
that
it up
strong
well.
of an actor.
Doesn't hold it. And what's her name?
The cutest Olsen.
The Olsen. Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen.
Yeah.
She's okay. And well, that's weird because they're also Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, and I've never like made that connection before.
Wow.
Yeah.
More Avengers.
Yeah. How strange.
Weird.
But you know,
Weird.
it has a lot of plot holes, and there's tons of videos on YouTube where you can just watch and just be. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's a sci-fi movie, and
Yeah.
it's just done well. And I think it's awesome.
You know, sometimes those YouTube videos where it's like, here's every single little. It's like, well, guys,
Try making a movie.
it's a movie.
Yeah,
You
try,
do it.
It's
Try
a
making a
movie.
movie.
It's
You
called
know, I don't know.
suspension of disbelief.
It's the same as those memes about like with the fat guy sitting on the couch, just like covered in like food stains and stuff, watching the Olympics and just being like,
Yeah.
7 out of 10.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say though,
Didn't
numbers
stick
wise,
the landing, though.
it is a critically divisive film. Obviously, you either like
Yeah.
it or you don't. But $160 million budget, which is a huge budget for a reboot too.
Yeah.
And that was done from Legendary and
Yeah.
Warner Bros, which is I think Godzilla was typically, I mean, it was Toho. It was Toho, but what was
I
the
don't know.
American company?
I don't know
that
who
would-
the American
I
company
feel like
released it.
Universal had last bought the rights,
I think
to
for that
Godzilla regular.
terrible Godzilla
Yeah.
99 movie.
which it's nostalgic. It's bad. It's got that cashmere cover, which is terrible.
That movie's terrible.
Yeah.
I will not watch that movie.
That would be
remember
a
when it
good
came
character
out, too,
limit
I had
exceeded.
a
I
shirt
will not
from the
watch
movie.
that movie. I will sit that episode out.
It's got Hank Azaria. I'm just kidding. And Matthew Broderick.
I would
Yeah,
rather
true.
just do, if we're going to do Hank Azaria, let's do Birdcage.
We did. That's not a bad idea. We did just watch
We
it
did just
recently.
watch
Yeah, it was a lot
Birdcage.
of
We could
fun.
do that pretty quick.
You missed
It was
out, man.
really great.
We watched
Did
the
you
other
just
night.
watch Birdcage too?
Weird. We just
All
watched
right.
with MCV.
CLE, here we go. And MCV.
That's a lot of abbreviations in a couple sentences.
$160 million budget, $529 million dollars return.
Ow.
That's
That's
a
a lot
huge
of
return of
dollars, dude.
investment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Almost a Godzilla size stack of money.
And I would not doubt that the sequel's gonna be like huge.
I hope so.
I think it's gonna be huge.
Man, I'm going to go watch it 19 times.
Well, guys, that's me.
It's gonna be kind of expensive, David.
I'd do it.
Don't judge my life.
I'm just trying to help you out. No judgment.
So yeah, that's my bottom of the tops.
Sorry, guys, I don't have any money this month. I just watched Godzilla 90 times. And then I went to Alamo and I kept ordering truffle popcorn.
Gross. So my number 2, we already talked about this film franchise a little bit, which is kind of exciting. The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
That's mine too.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's actually
wow.
my number one.
Double up. Okay.
Wow.
That's my number one. So I'll throw out my number 2 like it is my number 1 just for this sake. But bro,
Let's tag team
That's
this
pretty
thing,
cool.
dude.
That's pretty cool.
Jurassic World, Lost Park.
the Lost Park of Jurassic
The
World.
Lost Park of the Jurassic World.
Fallen Kingdom.
You know,
Are you guys having a collective stroke right now?
I don't understand what's wrong, David. I don't understand.
I don't either.
Why say lot work when few word do trick?
Worked just fine, David. So we bring back Jeff Goldblum for the sequel, which I gotta say is probably one of the better parts of Jurassic Park.
An amazing decision.
Amazing decision.
I think you mean
Because-
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
That would be a lot.
I don't think there
would be
are any
bad.
bridges in Jurassic Park.
No.
The Lost World.
None
The
named
Lost
Jeff.
World Jurassic Park.
I would say it's weird because in Jurassic Park 1, he's a great side character.
Yes.
But I don't know if you could really imagine Ian Malcolm being
the main character of
Yeah.
the first film.
Yeah, he's just like the
Yeah.
pun guy, you know, that comes. But I mean, he does throw some big knowledge bombs.
I mean, he's the chaos guy, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's what he does. I'm a, what is he, what is it?
Chaotician. Chaotician.
Chaosician?
Chaotician.
Chaotician? Ridiculous. What a ridiculous career to
That's
have.
ridiculous.
Jeff Goldblum, what are
You're
you going
right,
to do?
though. He's
Does
very
someone go
much
out
a
there
side
just
character.
lift the skirts of the dinosaurs up?
That's weird that he, like, how many times does a sequel take a side character and make them the main character? That doesn't happen all
Not
the time.
very
Not
often.
That's pretty
often, yeah.
unusual.
And
Takes a
rarely
definitely
is it
not
a
a
success.
Successfully, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
And you know, it is also a divisive film. But you know,
Yeah, because I know a lot of people who do not like this
I'm just-
sequel.
I think it's I to be honest, I don't think it's that great.
I think people
I'm
adamant
not
that
crazy
they don't
about
like it.
I think every Jurassic Park sequel is bad, and I feel like I'm being such a stick in the mud this episode. I
They've
like
got good
Jurassic
parts,
Park,
yeah.
David,
and
you
then
just
that's
kind of
it.
suck, man. I think that's
Yeah.
what it is.
That's the problem. Yeah, dude, I think Lost World Jurassic Park and I think a lot of I hope of what you're thinking is it's bigger, it's longer, it's uncut, it's
Yeah.
dirty.
It's darker too.
That's
It
what I
takes a
like
much
about it
darker
so
tone.
much. It's the
It's
tone
so
is way
dark.
darker.
Yeah.
More
And
people
I'm
dying.
actually glad I put this in my notes because it's rated higher on IMDb than the first film. 8.5
Really?
to 8.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
I wanted to
interesting.
check that out. 'cause I
More
was
dinosaurs,
curious.
and the interesting thing too is in the time that it came out, and we'll talk a little bit about there's a really interesting production story about how it actually came out. But in the time span from 1993 to 1997, so much more paleontological research had come out, which actually
That's just more dinosaurs to play with.
invested
Yeah.
interest, and there were more dinosaurs, and it was a tiny bit more accurate in its science as well. But I mean, it just generated so much more interest. There was a
Yeah.
big paleontological boom.
Well,
And
yeah.
They got later down the line of the sequels and they were like, accuracy be damned.
Well,
Pull all your funding.
Even in pop culture, you know, we had Land Before Time, We Were Back. All these things
That's
were targeted
right.
at
God,
kids.
We're Back
that
is
so
that
good.
dinosaur show where it was like live action. They were in
The
costumes.
dinosaurs.
the dinosaur Flintstones.
Not the
was-
mama.
It was crazy how dinosaurs like kind of took over culture for a while because
Absolutely.
of Jurassic Park. It's
Yeah,
insane.
I mean
Yeah.
it's one of the best movies in Hollywood. So should we talk a little bit about the production story a bit?
Yeah,
So
tell
I
us
think it's
about
kind
it,
of
man.
interesting. I think it's kind of interesting. Okay, so after the huge success of Jurassic Park 1, like shortly after, there was no sequel already made. There was no sequel book either by Michael Crichton. So Michael Crichton was approached by the press, by a lot of fans, and they were just like, so, I mean, you made one of the highest grossing films of all time. Are you going to make a sequel novel? And he's just like, nah, not really. No, I'm on to this other stuff. I'm good.
No, I like where I
I
left
got a
it.
lot of money. I got this one about this monkey, and it's really smart. It's gonna be in the Congo. I don't know what to call it yet, but it's also a good movie. I like Congo. It's dorky, but
I
Yes.
really enjoyed Congo.
It's like one of those things that would have never been touched unless Jurassic Park had come out.
oh yeah, they're like Michael Crichton. That name is
Yeah.
hot. Give him
Yeah.
everything. Give him everything.
What else we got?
Yeah. So funny thing about that was like Steven Spielberg was kind of a little apprehensive about coming back to do another one, but he knew he wanted to kind of be involved in some way. So him and David Koepp, the producer, who was like his right-hand man, they were kind of just waiting for Michael Crichton to keep this going, and they waited too long, or Michael Crichton waited too long, and the studio was like, "Yo, we need to keep this money train going." And so 2 years later, or about 3 years later, Spielberg and Koepp were just like, "We're just gonna do this. We're gonna do this. We're gonna make a movie, and if Michael Crichton gets it done at the right time, then he's gonna benefit. If he doesn't, then oh well."
Okay.
So Crichton was actually trying to keep it going, and they were almost written in tandem at the right time. So like, I think the novel came out just before the movie physically came out. It was already pretty much filmed. Production for the sequel actually began on the movie first because Crichton was refusing to write it at first.
Nope, not doing it.
I don't want it.
Not gonna do it.
And the movie you see on screen versus what Crichton actually wrote, it's totally different.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're totally separate, right?
Different. Yeah, they're completely different. I mean, Crichton actually wanted to do a lot more focus on just. I mean, they only kept like a couple of elements from it, which is that it was on another island.
Site B.
Yep, Site B. That there's more dinosaurs.
Because when you invest a bunch of money into dino DNA, you got to have a backup island full of other dinosaurs.
Yeah.
With less security.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but with less precautions.
Yes.
Just let them go route.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. We got all these flying dinosaurs too. That's gonna be okay.
Guys, I'm sure life isn't going to just find a way.
You got a cramp there?
Are you late camera right now? Do we have a cramp
I
on
really
camera?
thought either something crawled up your butt.
Oh
or
my God, I
like,
love this so
you got a
much.
cramp.
Yes, I hope it hurts. Does it hurt?
Needles.
I have
needles,
final edit.
needles. Let's see. So all they kept really, Spielberg and Koepp were, they decided to make their own movie. They kept some certain elements. The new island with dinosaurs. The scene with the trailer hanging off the cliff was still in the book actually, and it is in an iconic scene.
That is a good
Yeah, it's a great scene.
scene, man.
It's an amazing scene. You get to see Eddie ripped up in half by 2 T-Rexes right before that scene happens.
That's
When
right.
he's trying to pull the cliff up. I mean, when they're trying to pull the trailer up, and that's an awesome scene by itself, where he's just like slipping in the mud trying to get it going, and it's just like so intense and heart pounding.
Yeah.
And then these massive, like actually, Ian Malcolm's daughter's up in the tree hide, and she sees like the trees moving towards the tree cliff, and she's like, guys.
Yeah,
and
when those T-Rexes show up, that is great.
It's pretty gnarly.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's very action heavy. I will say one other thing about production also was kind of interesting. Spielberg said he had regretted excluding a scene from the script that was about characters escaping velociraptors on motorcycles. So that actually kind of came back into the play, and I think that's why he was a big executive producer on Jurassic World. But there's a big difference between escaping and fleeing velociraptors and working with
am the
velociraptors.
Going on a
Velociraptor.
ride with your Velociraptor bros.
I still think that is the dumbest element of the new movies. I'm just like, come on, you training raptors, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but it's just like the whole riding with them to take down the Indominus Rex thing was just like so
to me,
dumb.
I hated Indominus Rex more than the raptor thing.
Yeah, that was just dumb.
I could have gotten away with it, but I was like, really, guys? Do we
think
have to?
There was a lot more real life dinosaurs they
Yeah.
could have used that could have served as an antithesis to the
Yeah.
T-Rex. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that little tidbit was interesting.
No, it's nice. There were some facts on there that I didn't know. I'm glad you had those prepared, man.
I got it.
But yeah, if you've never seen that sequel and you've only seen like the new stuff, like go back and watch the original too.
Dinosaur design is
good,
incredible,
man.
and the CGI holds up surprisingly well.
Yeah, well, even Jurassic Park 1 looks great.
CGI
It still
It's
looks so good.
An investment is insane.
I mean, just watch Jurassic Park 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's all you really need.
Yeah.
I
The
don't like Jurassic. What's the third one called?
Jurassic
Three.
Park 3.
Jurassic
just
Park 3. That's what it's called.
Joe
I don't like
Johnson.
that movie, man.
Yeah.
It's like the coolest thing it introduced was the Spinosaurus, and I am not one of those people that was like, I was so offended that the T-Rex lost to the Spinosaurus, because it probably would. The T-Rex was a scavenger, and if you're just, T-Rex fanboy, I love the T-Rex, but it's,
I mean, who doesn't love
who
the
loves
T-Rex?
the T-Rex? I mean, yeah. But Spinosaurus was a bigger and more aggressive dinosaur, and it's probably going to kill him.
Yeah.
But that was one of the cool parts. The Velociraptor design was kind of cool. There was a really dumb moment where they're like, we can talk to them by using their nasal cavities and going on the beach. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that was a thing.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're bringing up some bad memories, man.
I know. But Spinosaurus kind of killed it. Kind of the coolest part of
Yeah.
the Pteranodon scene was kind of cool too. But that's actually something from, I think, the first book. The pteranodon thing. It wasn't exactly like that, but they just go into a pteranodon cage. Anyways, Jurassic Park 3 has its like very sparing moments. I would say 25% of it is like cool. Yeah, 25%. Yeah.
25%.
25%.
Not bad.
Not a percentage more.
Not one.
Well,
more.
are you all done with your dinosaur talk?
Yes.
I think that does
Had
it
to-
for dinosaurs.
Had to Dino Geek out.
Yeah, I'm surprised you all didn't mention the finale of Jurassic Park 2, which is essentially just King Kong with the T-Rex.
Oh,
Yeah, you
that's
get the giant
right.
monster fight
Yeah.
because
the fish out of water situation.
Because like the whole problem is they have this like baby Tyrannosaurus that they
Yeah.
come upon. You know
Also
what I mean?
a cool scene.
Um.
Cool prosthetics.
Oh, and also we
Animatronics.
didn't even talk about how they take them back to like civilization. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the T-Rex gets loose. You get all that Cole
Yeah.
like running around. And,
Lost World is King Kong.
Yes,
It's
100%.
the
It
same
is.
story.
Yeah, it
They
is
go
the
to this
story.
island.
I've got this plan to
full
make
of
it a huge
monsters.
attraction.
Yeah.
You got the evil corporation working on
Yeah.
it,
Get the whole thing there.
and John Hammond dies in Lost World. I'm pretty sure he
Spoiler
dies in the
alert,
Lost
man.
World.
Spoiler.
I don't
alert.
remember him dying.
No.
No,
He lives on in our hearts
Oh yeah,
forever.
no. He lives. He lives at the end.
they live.
No, because John Hammond's also in. No, yeah. Never mind. I retract that.
Well, everyone, my number 2 is the best comic book movie sequel of all time. And if you disagree with me,
Objectively,
no, definitively. Let's think about it. What's the best comic book movie sequel of all time? Get it in your head real quick. Listener, get it in your head.
Spider-Man
We're going to
2
say it all
is pretty
together at the
good.
same time. 1, 2, 3. The Dark
how
Knight.
Stella
Spider-Man
got a
2.
groove back.
Oh,
You guys
the
are trolling me.
Dark
Yeah, The Dark Knight.
Knight.
The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan's second movie in his Batman trilogy.
Love it.
Yeah, I don't even like Batman. That's a good
Yeah.
movie. The trilogy's good.
You
Like,
have
they're good
Heath,
films.
Heath Ledger basically like defying all odds to deliver the Joker performance
Brandon approves.
of the lifetime.
Absolutely
Like-
defining that character on film.
Everybody was like, "No way is Heath Ledger going to be able to pull this off. He's not the right fit for the Joker. He doesn't look right. He's too like pretty or whatever." And then he shows up, and now everyone is like, "There's no way anyone can outdo Heath Ledger." Like it's so
There's-
weird.
It's still one of the most Halloween costumed things.
Oh my God, Dwight as the Heath Ledger Joker.
With Speaking
Kevin.
of office
Yeah,
references,
yeah.
and Creed.
Yeah, and
Creed is
Creed.
also the
God.
Joker. He had the best Joker
He really pulled
costume.
it off.
Creed
Creed's
had
a
it.
creep.
Oh, he's the most Joker-like.
Yeah.
So here's my hot take, everybody. The Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy is often like thought of as this like pinnacle of comic book movies, and I'm going to say that only Dark Knight is great. And if it wasn't for Dark Knight, the whole trilogy might be remembered in a different light.
That's a scorching take.
Batman Begins is a pretty good origin film.
Yeah, I
You
don't
get
like
Ra's
Batman
al
Begins
Ghul,
that
which
much,
like most people don't really care about, other than like people who are into Batman. But I think anyone with just a passing knowledge of Batman would be like, "Who?"
Quick question.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's pronounced Ra's al Ghul in the films? Is that incorrectly?
In the films, they call him Ra's al Ghul, I'm pretty sure, but I'm almost positive the correct pronunciation is Ra's al Ghul.
Can we check the Bactionary?
Bactionary?
Race.
Ra's al Ghul.
Interesting.
Bactionary
You heard
says
it here
Ra's al
first.
Ghul.
Interesting.
So yeah, I guess I am incorrectly pronouncing it. Anyway,
No,
It's
you're saying it
pronounced
right.
Liam
Well, I mean,
Neeson.
in the film universe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is Liam Neeson.
Ra's al Ghul.
But if you think about that one, like Liam Neeson gives a good performance. Cillian Murphy is Scarecrow in that movie, and it's an
He's
okay.
okay.
It's an okay movie.
Yeah.
You got to get the origin story out of
It
the
really
way.
bored me when I saw it, honestly.
You got to see Batman's parents die. It's just
Has to
In
happen.
every
you
Batman movie.
gotta do it.
In case you forgot.
Yeah, in case you forgot. His parents are dead. I think Dark Knight Returns is okay.
It's Dark Knight Rises.
Bane
but
is not my Bane.
I
Hashtag not my Bane.
love that movie. I love Dark Knight Rises.
It's
Some contention happening.
It's
the
mad.
opening
The Wee
scene
Dab.
is incredible, I will say, with Bane on the plane.
Bane on the plane.
Bane on the plane. Bane's on the plane.
It's okay. To be honest, it's like the Venom thing with Topher Grace. I can't see past him.
I mean, no, I
And he
don't
sounds
know,
so
'cause-
silly.
But he
The voice is
defined.
very silly.
He defined a cinematic version of that character.
Yes, but you can only go so far.
Because
That's
there
why
was a
people get
cinematic
uptight.
version of him, and it was like, what was it, Batman and Robin, right? That's when the
Yeah.
first.
When
but-
he's like Poison Ivy's
He's a lot like the
lackey.
comic
And he
character.
looks like
yeah.
he should look
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
Bane.
Does
Also,
he speak?
Bane is Mexican.
Yeah, he is.
He's a Hispanic
luchador.
character,
Yeah.
and instead they made him some weird Tom Hardy
New
thing.
Zealand. I don't know
I don't
where
know.
he's from.
Who knows what Tom Hardy was going for?
Yeah,
I think
Damn, you stole a role for my people. Not cool.
it's a
exactly.
good movie though.
It's
I think it's a good movie.
I like the thing of him breaking his back, climbing out of the pit. That's pretty cool. I think Catwoman's underutilized. Michelle Pfeiffer still is like the
I think
definitive
the ending
Catwoman
was really
in my book.
strange in that movie,
Well,
though.
what was up with JGL being Robin but not
Yeah.
being Robin, and like that poor dude got like yanked around.
I still want to think that like when he was cast for that movie, he was telling his friends like on the weekend, like, dude, I'm gonna be Batman. I mean, I'm gonna be Robin in the new Batman movie.
You can't say anything online. You can't tell anybody. But
Actually, I think I'm Nightwing. I don't really know. And they're like, oh, really? Oh, sick, dude. How? And then he like shows up and he's just like, all right, I'm ready to get fitted for my costume. Ready to get fitted for it. Where is it? And then the costume designer's just like, didn't you see the cop outfit? Well, yeah, but where's my
yours?
Where's my Nightwing one?
Yeah.
That's it.
No, you're a cop.
Or you're gonna be Nightwing. You're like you're parentheses Nightwing. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Poor
a little
guy.
bit of missed opportunity. It would have been cool to see one more in that.
They should have. It should have been a series, a saga.
But it did end Batman's story, and essentially in the Dark Knight trilogy, if I'm not remembering it, wrong, Batman turns in the cowl at the end.
Yeah,
Like him and
he's done.
Catwoman are done.
Yeah.
And they like retire, and then it's alluded that Robin is now going to be Batman. Maybe not Robin. He
Oh, you're
finds
talking
cave
about the movie
at
movie.
I'm talking about the end of Dark Knight Rises, which I
Yeah.
thought was a good ending of that.
Yeah,
movie.
because he sees her at the cafe.
Yeah.
Afterwards,
Oh.
or he sees Alfred at the cafe.
Yeah, that's
I
a
think.
nice scene.
Doesn't he?
Christopher Nolan knows what,
Yeah.
what
Yes.
he's doing. He's a
Yeah,
handy filmmaker.
They give each other like a.
Dark Knight, though, let me give you the highlights real quick. So first off, the opening scene is like an amazing execution. There's a lot of it. If it's not in one take, it's extremely long takes where we're like getting taken around this bank. We see all these different hostages, which the masks in that scene are
Yeah.
based off The Killing, Stanley Kubrick's first film, where they're robbing that racetrack. We saw that film together.
movie is so good.
It's a great cinematic reference where if you're not familiar with Kubrick, you're not going to like catch that.
Like
Love
it's so
Kubrick.
fun because it pulls you in the whole time and it ends and you totally do like a what?
It's almost like a comedic ending too.
Yeah,
it's like a
so
punchline to a
good. The
joke.
ending is so good.
If you haven't seen The Killing, it's definitely worth watching. It might be a little hard to find.
Recommend. Go
Yeah.
find it.
Hard
Don't be
recommend.
lazy. Watch it.
But yeah, so that scene's great. The thing that stands out to me the most, I mean, obviously we can talk about the performances, the special effects. There's a ton of great practical effects with the car scenes and everything, stuff blown up. The scene where Joker shows like the potential of the character, really, whereas like Jack Nicholson Joker, I don't feel like you get what the Joker's about creating like chaos and mayhem and like turning a regular good person into someone who's questioning everything. Whereas in Dark Knight, we have that group of convicts on one boat
that's
and
so
those like
awesome.
citizens who are like innocent people on the other boat.
Yes.
And how quickly those people like turn and say,
The
well, you know
scene
what?
is
I
incredible.
deserve to live and everything. Amazing scene.
The commentary is just so good.
And just a quick little fun fact. At the end of that movie, they capture Joker, obviously. But he's not dead. And Christopher Nolan originally intended to make him part of Dark Knight Rises. And if you remember when Gotham is in chaos, there's a scene where the Scarecrow is judge of this court.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be the Joker in that scene instead.
Ah.
So who knows how much more of the Joker we would have got to see if Heath Ledger hadn't passed away so
Wow.
unexpectedly.
Wow.
But,
Way to be selfish, Heath Ledger.
Way to not finish it up.
terrible. Okay, I'm gonna pass this.
Well, fun other thing
yeah.
too is in that movie, another little piece of like Hollywood cinema legacy is that like that scene where he is blowing up the hospital and walking away in the nurse's gown is actually, it's actually a real reaction he has because it's a time delayed response. I don't know if it was like actually meant to be time delayed when the hospitals were blowing up.
Oh yeah,
But-
something didn't go off.
Yeah,
right?
something didn't go off right. So it's a
his
genuine reaction.
is
Yeah.
a genuine reaction.
Yeah. So
That's great. Hey, can you send that to me so I can put some stuff up on the screen too?
Yeah, it's from the Batman '66.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Which is
Interesting.
also, I mean, it's similar to The Killing.
Yeah.
It's real similar because The Killing is like this.
Well, I'm pretty sure there
Well,
is
that
a
could have
Killing
been-
reference
Yeah.
in it.
No, yeah, it's real similar.
Brandon's checking out our
He's trying to fact check us real time.
use of
You
the
fact
Max.
checking us
Well,
on
I
that?
didn't know about the Kubrick things.
He's our young Jamie. That's great. Yeah, to me, we'll put some pictures up so we can see all these different references. Great character design too.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dark
that's a
Knight.
great, I mean, it's a
Good pick,
timeless
David.
movie. Really
Yeah.
timeless movie.
I know. All right, so Danny, your number one's already.
This is time for number one already.
Well,
Oh,
now
okay.
you gotta
Well,
touch your
number 1
two-
was Lost
yeah.
World, so
Yes.
I'm just moving it up.
Okay.
Not far off though, and if this has a lot to do with my bottom 3 as well. This is Prometheus. That is
As soon as you said your bottom 3, I knew exactly what you were gonna choose.
yeah, and I guess this is kind of in the same camp as it's technically a prequel, reboot, sequel, soft reboot. Weird, going off into something else.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time. We were kind of talking it up during Alien Covenant and just saying like what all the good things that this movie did. Yes, it posed a lot of questions, but that weren't answered in a very Lost style because of Damon Lindelof primarily. But it was like still a lot more than you would think in some sort of alien related movie. It was made. The development of it was in early 2000s, as like originally being a 5th part of the Alien franchise, and then James Cameron actually worked with Ridley Scott to work on a prequel a bit. Ridley Scott kind of like molded it into something more, and then there was an original script. Damon Lindelof came in, he kind of worked it up, turned it into what it is now. It was set to like explore more of the themes of creationism, gods, and there was actually, well, it essentially explores the origin of the space jockey, which is like a nameless alien in the credits for Alien 1, which is on the derelict ship, which is the huge figure that's like in this stone seat that was piloting the ship, and so it goes into, which is essentially the engineers in Prometheus, but it's just a really interesting concept that I don't feel like really took flight as much as it should have in the next movies after that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of big ideas tossed up in Prometheus that, I mean, we've already discussed this, but Alien Covenant does not land some of those ideas.
No.
Prometheus feels like when we originally saw it, it felt like it was putting their stamp down and saying like, okay, this is what the series is now.
Yeah.
This is
Now
what we're gonna
this is
do.
what it's about, and they were just
Yeah.
it ended up being hard. We're not doing that.
Yeah.
Anymore.
And
Yeah.
it totally refreshed my like interest in the franchise too, because I was just like another Alien movie. But
Seems too hard. We're just gonna do the same thing again.
yeah, and it's a lot of like the religious allusions that they did in it were really interesting, and a little bit of a production note too was well, as you can see in part of the film as it plays out, like these engineers had this derelict ship on some planet.
Derelict ship.
Always a derelict ship, and
Yeah.
filled with this black goo that does pretty crazy things to genetic structure. It can make terrible anomalies, or it can make like wonders.
It's not nanotechnology, so don't get that confused.
It's not nanotechnology. It's biotechnology. So essentially, it was like a bio-warfare weapon that they were planning to take, and you end up learning that the map was set to land on Earth. And it's interesting because in a really nice way, Ridley Scott poses in the film that the date was approximately 2,000 years before they got there, or so. So it's like it's alluding to like the like that an engineer was Christ or some sort of Christ figure that humanity kind of went over, and obviously did the whole crucifying thing. But it's essential that well, it's pretty interesting that like
That whole crucifixion.
Yeah, I don't know if you
you
heard
know,
about that.
That little gist.
But yeah, and then so there was actually a thing where Ridley was actually thinking about showing scenes of that as it would have played out. And I thought it could have been kind of interesting, but he was right. He was saying, it's going to be way too on the nose, and I kind of want to rather just have that would be too much, because then it becomes like a real religious thing.
And people would have been like, what?
Are you saying what? But now it's just, it's like a little trail. It's a little Easter egg kind of
And
thing.
if I'm not mistaking the movie, the engineers create the human race on accident, right? Essentially,
No,
like,
it's planned.
it's planned, but they were going to kill them, is what it was, wasn't it?
They were they were going to kill them like way after they were created.
Exactly.
So they essentially seeded all human life on Earth, is what it's like insinuating, because it's like there's some ritual. They were like these monk-looking figures, and they all drop into space, and some guy gives his life by drinking the black goo, goes into the waters of Earth, and then the molecular structure just decomposes into the water.
Yeah.
Which was
scene.
cool. I mean, amazing opening scene. I was like, what is happening?
What's the name of the scruffy guy with the beard? He's kind of like the jerk a little bit.
Feifeld?
He's the one who's with Shaw. Shaw's love interest.
You mean his actor name?
Either one.
I don't
really.
remember his name.
I can't
But
remember
I
his
know
name
him. He
either.
was
Not
annoying.
full beard, right? Just scruffy.
Yeah.
And I think he's bald.
He's the one that finds that
Maybe.
thing in his eye.
He's got the thing in his eye. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
He
a-
looks like a backpacker.
my favorite scene in that movie is him having a discussion with David, and he's getting kind of hostile towards David, and they're having this thing where, you know, David's kind of like, well, why were we made or whatever, and he's like, well, we just made you because we could make you. You know what I mean? Like you're whatever. You're like one of our creations that we just did or something like that.
Yeah.
And then David's like, well, have you thought that like that could be the answer to your question?
Yeah.
And it's like, whoo,
It's incredible. And that's basically like the
and that's
message.
Prometheus in a nutshell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just like we just did it 'cause we
It's a
could.
great scene. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really well written, and it's just, there's a lot of problems that people want to equate it to Alien, but it's just not the same movie. And they were trying something so cool, man. I'm hoping they bring it back with this third one they're gonna do.
Yeah, that'd be super cool.
We'll see.
Really tight. Apparently, this third one's supposed to be about like the engineers coming back.
Making the frogs gay.
Exactly. Freaking frogs.
It turns out the engineers are really Hillary Clinton and the global elite.
David wasn't checking his emails right. Essentially, I think the overarching plot is that the engineers come back to their home world, some of them that were on some journey
Okay.
or whatever like that, and they see that David's like decimated the population,
Okay.
and they're actually in pursuit of David, who is on that colony ship doing his experiments on all of those sleeping colonizers at the end of Alien Covenant.
Wow. Okay.
So it could be interesting.
Interesting. But then by the time it comes out, they'll just like transform the script into scientists land on a planet and they get exposed to something and there's a
Some
chest
things
person.
pop out of someone.
Oh God, my chest! Oh no!
I feel sick all of a sudden. Let me go to the sick bay.
Yep. Shoot it out into space! Shoot it out into space! Yeah. Basically.
Well.
So that's my tops.
Love it.
So my top. I just want to give you some of the reasons I chose it really quick.
I don't want
all of my bottoms were sequels to movies that were enjoyable and they dropped the ball. One of the best things that a sequel can do is be better than the films that come before it.
Dang. That's
You can
a real
raise
sequel.
that bar.
Wow.
Nothing has raised that bar for me quite like this movie because the very first one in the film franchise I did not enjoy at all. The first Purge, couldn't get into it. Character is very
I know what you're
unlikable.
talking about.
The whole movie only takes place in that one house.
I know.
Which one? Which one?
Empire. It's totally Empire.
No, you suck.
No, he literally said the
Oh,
Purge.
the
out loud.
Purge.
He's talking about
But
the
I
Purge.
agree.
Why don't you stop talking until we start doing your podcast?
Yes, you're actually not in this segment, so
Idiot. But yeah, The Purge Anarchy, the second one.
yes.
I watched this one with you.
Yeah.
Just I don't know how it happened, but I was like, yeah, I mean, I guess
I'll enlighten
we'll
you.
we'll drink to it or something. It'll be fun.
I'll do a shout out too. When
Shout it out.
Friday the 13th the game came out, I got super into it. I wasn't familiar with the franchise.
Okay.
A gentleman YouTuber, James A. Janice, who does the Dead Meat channel, which I don't need to shout him out. He's a giant channel, but he does videos called Kill Count where he sums up horror movies and their kills. So if you're a horror fan, it's a really cool channel to follow. But for a while, I was just kind of like seeing what series he did and then like going through myself.
Okay.
So when he started The Purge, I had seen the first Purge, and I'm assuming like you.
Well, thank you, James A. Janice, for that. I did
Very
not like it,
unimpressed.
and that's
Yeah.
why I didn't watch any of
Hated
the other
first
ones.
Purge
Exactly.
movie.
Yeah,
Exactly.
not good. And I was like, I'm not gonna waste my time with this film series. It sucks. But then when I watched Anarchy with David, I was like, yeah, this is a much better movie.
Yeah, it is.
It actually shows you the stuff that makes that world interesting. It shows you what's going out in the cities. It
Yeah.
really shows that disparity. You spend the whole first film with this like well-to-do family, like in their gated community, and their rich neighbors want to kill them. Ooh, big scary.
And these little MAGA kids come out and
Yeah,
just, like,
yeah.
start-
Oh my
Little
gosh.
pre-MAGA kids, you know what I mean?
Whoa, you're so right though. They totally are.
I mean, look-
100%.
Okay, we need to edit like a meme of like those kids at the door, but then that like Native American dude banging on
That's
the
what I'm
drum
saying.
with them.
Yeah, just smiling in their
There you
face.
go.
Put them all that kids.
Good stuff.
Meme coming soon.
This is how greatness happens.
Yeah.
Accidentally when you're doing something else.
Well, that's even funnier. I'm sorry, because the tagline
Is
for Purge Anarchy is Keep America Great,
Nice.
which is
No
actually
way.
Donald Trump's 2020 slogan.
It
So Donald
Wait,
Trump's campaign
hold on.
slogan is the
So
same
you're
thing as Purge
saying-
Anarchy.
So what you're telling me right now is that Donald Trump thinks he did it? Like we're great again?
Yeah, so America wasn't great. And in the 2.5 years that Donald Trump's been president, and all of his promises
really
that
is.
hasn't been kept, the wall, defeating ISIS in 100 days, whatever.
But we're great again.
We're great again. He's done it. So now we got to keep it great.
I didn't get an email or anything.
I
I
didn't
still
get an
thought we
email either.
weren't doing great.
Oh my gosh, it is.
Yeah, there's no exaggeration there. Donald
Interesting.
Trump.
It's from the first Purge,
It's first purge. That's what it is.
and that's came out before. I mean, he started using it in like July 2018. So this is like,
Yeah.
wow.
The Purge was criticizing him for his first thing, and then Donald Trump maybe unintentionally took the tagline.
You feel like, I mean, I don't think he has the final say on everything in his campaign.
Well, no, Donald Trump has the final say on what he eats from McDonald's. He's like, give me 3 number ones.
That's what I'm saying. That
and
means
6
that like
apple pies. That's the only thing he decides.
that means like his press people and like his campaign people were like, yeah.
It means that they have no idea what pop culture is.
Or they were just like, no, that's why we're doing it.
Or oh yeah, someone on the inside wanted to get a joke out.
No, you guys know he doesn't read these, right?
Or they were just very serious about it. They're like, yeah, that's why we're doing it.
Anyways, back to Purge Anarchy. The whole thing that's cool about this one as well is like kind of jumping back to politics. It's weird that this happened, but you get to see like the political factions like around like this purge policy.
Yes.
You see like, what do they call it? The founding fathers and everybody who goes underneath that. All the rich people really who are down to get all these poor people murdered, and there's people who have like decked out like cars and stuff. This is the first time you get to see like people throwing money into killing these poor people. But do you also have like this underground group of freedom fighters who are like fighting against it? All that stuff is super fun. You get to see God, what's his name? Frank Grillo.
Frank
Just
Grillo,
be
man.
like super awesome throughout this whole movie.
Frank Grillo plays like a Kurt Russell-esque action star
God.
from the 80s.
Like ridiculously
And
good at murdering people.
you don't see those kind of characters anymore. It's
You
just
really
so
don't.
cool. Yeah.
He's like a secret agent running
Yeah.
around in this thing. It's so good. With a heart of gold.
Yeah. And I looked into him after that. He really hasn't been in a lot of big things. He was in
It's unfortunate. He did great stuff.
He's in one of the Captain Americas something, but yeah, dude, great role for him.
But this
Really
led me to watch
shines.
like the rest of the film franchise, and there was some good stuff in there.
Oh yeah, I think Purge is the weakest, and for everything you hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
Purge didn't show us the world that was what was interesting about. But the following 3, and I think they do get a little repetitive as they go along, but there's something new to them for sure, and the social commentary is great.
Oh, yeah.
Horror movies making social commentary like that, it really hasn't been that impactful since maybe like They Live or something.
And they're pleasing visually too.
Yeah, a lot of great
There's a
colors,
lot of really good colors.
neons.
A lot of good contrast with running around at night.
We need to watch the TV series, the Purge miniseries. I haven't seen it
I
yet,
haven't
Let's
seen
check
that
it
at
out.
all.
but I'm down to check it out. And apparently, it's like it takes place all over one Purge night, and
wow.
like the moments before and after. So you get to see like what's the day after the Purge.
The
like.
awkward, like being at the grocery store the next day, and
That
like
is awesome.
just
And
the
that guy tried to kill
awkwardness.
you. So yeah, I'm down to check that out. Well, I guess I'm rounding this thing out
Brown it out.
because Danny already had his top one.
That's right.
And while I love your choices, everybody, this is the definitive best sequel of all time. And again, my opinions are never wrong.
I thought the
Just like
last
Dark
one was
Knight.
the best.
The best superhero sequel of all time.
Okay,
This I'm
good
telling
job.
you, and it's exactly what you said. You take an idea that's great. In this case, The Purge was okay. But then you somehow manage to make a more impactful, greater sequel, and it is Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back. It's the reason why sequels are like, thank you, Brandon.
Brandon's clapping off screen.
It's like the definition of a great sequel. You take
Yeah,
all these characters.
I wholeheartedly agree.
New Hope was like a story, like a tiny one-issue comic book, and it was set with a background with many possibilities. Empire Strikes Back makes it a universe,
Yeah.
and every single scene is cinematic, like essential
Oh man,
creations,
the
like
Lost World.
I was gonna say
Everything.
it's like the
Yeah,
Lost World
the-
of the Star Wars.
It's the Lost
trilogy.
World of the Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the
it's
second
darker.
grittier,
It makes things
darker
darker,
sequel.
bigger.
It's
Yeah.
really like what that's all about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
It's about being darker. And
we take these characters that we love, that we've been introduced to, and now we just kind of take them into their
Star Wars
lowest
1.
point.
Yeah, and A New Hope is just like a Disney film. It's like it's the hero's journey. It's
Ironically.
just like, and now it literally is a Disney film.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just you're right. They expand upon so much, and they make it huge. You get like the intro to like the most iconic characters you can think of. You get the intro to Yoda. You get the intro to Boba Fett, right?
Well, the Star Wars Holiday Special is the introduction of Boba Fett.
If you want to get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, if you
we're
really
being
want to get
real.
down to the brass tacks.
Jabba is first seen in Empire Strikes Back, I think.
Yes
At
and
the
no.
end, right?
In New Hope, he was added in later.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's like one of the additions to George Lucas. There's like a CGI Jabba in A New
It
Hope.
probably looks real bad too.
It does. It looks terrible.
Yikes.
And he's like not the right size. He's
Nice.
smaller.
He's smaller. That's what I
Yeah,
remember.
it's really
too.
weird.
Good job, Lucas, you idiot.
And they used like a deleted scene that they had never used before in episode 4 where Jabba used to be a human. And in between 4 and
what?
5, so literally they took that scene of Harrison Ford walking next to this human person and replaced that human person with a CGI Jabba the Hutt.
Oh,
And if you
my
watch,
goodness.
I mean, it's in New Hope now. There's like no way to not find, unless you buy the special edition DVDs from the early 2000s, you're gonna watch the George Lucas edited version of Star Wars.
That's not good.
But yeah, we have the Hoth battle. We have Yoda and Luke's Jedi training. We also have maybe one of the best plot twists of all time. That you find out that Darth Vader is Luke's father. Like, it's mind-blowing. And in that scene, he didn't even know. It's like a real reaction that you get from it.
yeah.
It's like, what? That's crazy.
And you get this great fight scene between him and Vader leading up to it, and it's slow and calculated. Which this is a little pet peeve, but it's to me what the prequels got wrong, is that Star Wars hasn't ever really been about the sword fighting, and then in the prequel trilogy they got so heavy into all this like really choreographed like quick moving fast things. Where in the original
Flippy
Star
flips and
Wars
all that,
it was
yeah.
like. Apparently, the lightsaber hilt was heavier too, which is like their explanation for it moving slower.
Okay.
But it's like everything was so slow. It was like two knights kind of like looking at each other's moves. Where the other thing, it looks like, I don't know, like part of Riverdance, but with like light poles. It's a little much for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Duel of Fates is great and everything in episode 1, but like the Revenge of the Sith fight scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin goes on so long and it's so ridiculous at some points.
I mean, look at all the memes we got from it.
Yeah, there's great memes.
It's over. I have the higher ground.
Oh, that's love. From my perspective, the Jedi are evil. Like one of the worst lines.
Huge hammer fists just
Yeah.
through that script. Just bam, bam.
I
hate you.
My favorite part about Empire,
My real dad.
I hate you. My favorite part about Empire though is the end, where we end with the heroes being defeated. Han Solo is in carbonite, being taken to Jabba. Luke has had his hand chopped off, and they're just there like looking into the vastness of space, and then bam, you gotta wait for Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And intro of the movie is freaking Hoth.
Yeah.
It's one of
Bum,
the
bum,
best.
Bum.
Yeah.
But
It's a scene that's recreated in every Star Wars video game.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Every Star Wars video game has a Hoth
Always
battle
has Hoth
scene,
battle.
and then you always have to do the little grapple hook.
On an AT-AT, right?
Shout out
That's
to
how
Shadows
you
of the
do it.
Empire. Shout out to the Empire, PC and N64. I'm getting double applause.
I will
from
say
Brandon.
that
feel so satisfied
Battlefield
right now.
1, I mean, not the old Battlefields, but the reboot Battlefield
Yeah.
of Star Wars, they did it right. I mean, that Hoth scene, that Hoth level is pretty amazing.
I have some problems with the newer Battlefields, or Battlefront.
Battlefront, that's what I'm thinking. I'm sorry.
But they do look beautiful.
They look amazing.
They look beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, y'all,
What
Y'all.
time is it?
Game time.
it's actually no. It's Super Dicks time, everyone. Let's get into this thing.
Get the P&P on here.
Should I get the peep?
There you go.
If you two could draw a predicament.
Why don't you grab
each.
yourself a predicament here, sir?
All right, today we are talking about.
What are
I
we
don't know if I
talking
can even grab
about?
it. There we go.
Get those big, thick fingers in that jar, Danny. You can do it.
Lay it
What's
on
it gonna
us.
be, man?
We have Bernie should have been him Sanders versus
Shoulda been him.
HRC, and then in parentheses it says round 2, and then it has a foul language word. Y'all, today, the day we're recording, Bernie just launched his bid for 2020.
How
nice.
timely.
So it is quite literally round 2. Bernie versus Hillary Clinton. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to pick Bernie, but let's go ahead and do this for the sake of this segment.
I'm not saying that we're gonna shaft Hillary just like the DNC shafted Bernie, but that's exactly what we're gonna do. That's exactly what's gonna happen.
That's crazy. All right. So
All right, what do you got?
predict is. This is a really good one. Who's funkier?
Oh,
I mean, come on.
Hillary Clinton doesn't have an ounce of funk in her
She
body.
has no groove.
not
Yeah.
an
No rhythm.
iota of funk.
And
I
Have you
bet
seen
you
her
she
dance?
for sure
I'm
claps on 3.
pretty sure we've
she
seen her
claps on
dance.
3 for sure.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a clip of her dancing like this.
yeah.
A bit.
I'm going to go ahead, and even though we're all in agreement, I'm going to further this argument just by the meme. And we know the meme we're talking about. The Hillary and Bernie meme where it's like, what Radiohead is your favorite?
Yes.
And Hillary's like, I really like Creep. It's a great song.
She loves
And-
Pablo Honey.
And then Bernie's like, oh, well, In Rainbows has some great themes that are really discovered. Like, we hate Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
She's lame.
You suck.
She's got no
Hate's a
business
strong
here.
word.
Hate is a strong
She
word. Is a doo-doo head,
Is the reason Trump's
colluded with the DNC to steal a nomination for Bernie Sanders.
which is a pretty crappy thing to do.
Yeah. Super
because
lame.
he had it.
Hey, let's keep going. Let's truck through this thing, man. What's next?
What's your next
Let's truck
predict?
through this. You know what I mean? What else is Hillary Clinton going to lose out today? Who has the superior Wikipedia entry?
Oh, come on. Let's look it up.
Well, you know what? I am going to say that Hillary's probably going to have length. For sure. Because she was also First Lady.
But Bernie's got that girth.
I was going to say length isn't always everything.
The other thing, too, is the Wikipedia page for Hillary is going to have to go through each of her positions
you
as she's
doing?
flip-flopped over
I'm going to do
time.
Burns.
Okay.
Whereas Bernie Sanders, it's going to
You're
be the
right.
same since the 60s.
That's right. He's maintained the same
Yeah.
platform.
He's been talking about
Corporate
Medicare for all
interests.
since the 1990s.
And the
when it was just
1%.
like, what? What is that even? What are you talking about, man?
Yeah, socialist.
I voted for Nader.
Yeah. Are you there at Clinton?
I'm getting there.
Damn, he's 77.
Huh?
He's 77.
77, yeah.
Wow, 77 years old. The man was born in 1941. Ready?
What are we doing?
We're reading the first paragraph, right?
Okay.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay. You want to do yours first?
Yeah, might as well. Worst is first. Hillary Diane Rodham Clinton, born October 26, 1947, is an American politician, diplomat,
didn't know she was so old.
lawyer, writer, and public speaker. She served as the First Lady of the United States from 1993 to 2001 until her husband got caught receiving coitus in his office. That's not in the Wikipedia, which is
I was like, what?
footnote. U.S. Senator from New York from 2001 to 2009, 67th United States Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013, and as Democratic Party's nominee for President of the United States in the 2016 election, where she didn't play fair, check her emails correctly, or give Bernie a fighting chance.
Yikes.
And the first woman nominated by a major party.
That's
Yikes.
pretty impressive. Can we hear Bernie Sanders, please?
Friend to birds.
All around cool dude. Bernard Sanders, born September 8, 1941, is an American politician who has served as the junior United States Senator from Vermont since 2007, the longest-serving independent in congressional history. He was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives.
U.S.?
The U.S. House of Representatives in 1990 and caucuses with the Democratic Party, enabling his appointment to congressional committees and at times giving Democrats a majority. Sanders was born and raised in the Brooklyn borough of New York City and attended Brooklyn College before graduating from the University of Chicago in 1964. While a student, he was an active protest organizer for the Congress of Racial Equality and the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee during the Civil Rights Movement. After settling of... I mean,
That's a pretty impressive Wikipedia
Come on.
entry.
game, set, match.
You know, for time's sake, I'm going to say, like, even if we were... Because I don't like Hillary Clinton, but we can't deny the accomplishments she's had in her career. But
I can.
Okay, I won't deny.
Fake
but
news.
If let's just be realistic. Let's say we get Hillary. We're going to draw the next one. It's going to be Bernie Sanders.
True.
Unless it's like who can lose the easiest possible election to win, then it'll be Hillary Clinton for sure. So
She's the best at it.
I vote very democratically. Let's move on. Let's have Bernie Sanders versus Batman. The lineup everyone's been waiting for.
Interesting. I never thought it would come down to this.
Oh man,
This
and
could
I
be
hope
it.
this
But is
predict
Bernie
is
Sanders the
sweet.
hero that I've been
This
waiting
will
for?
be a monumental moment if the predict is
All right.
just right.
Here we go.
I hope it's something about parents.
Come on.
Bratman has his.
What is it?
I called you Bratman.
Batman. I love that new nickname.
Oh no, this doesn't sound good.
I don't like how happy you look.
Who is more likely to appear on the cover of Time magazine?
Oh, Bernie Sanders, 110%.
Did Batman just lose?
Batman,
It's not real.
you shut your stupid mouth. This isn't your show.
I can't believe it. Did this happen? Is this on film? Is this?
Hi.
Get
David
those
has
stupid
left
headphones
the
on so I can defeat
Welcome
you
to
already. Come on,
Brandon.
let's do this.
Podcast.
Today's my day. I
hello.
didn't. When I woke up this morning, I didn't realize that it was gonna
No.
be. Oh my
Get
God.
out of here.
Do you-
No.
Tell me to know
Honestly,
Batman.
No.
Oh, here you go.
Oh, okay.
Bernie, yeah, that's cool.
This is rolling this down, but
This
pretty
year,
close.
though, is Batman's 80th anniversary, which marks a whole new, 80 years of Batman. And he's actually,
It's no 100.
It's Time Magazine. This is the real world. Bernie Sanders
all I
just
have. I saw that
announced
one down.
his run for presidency.
yeah, but it's also, it's like a 50-50 chance at that point.
What are we gonna do?
50-50.
Although I appreciate
Yeah.
Brandon-
I think both of them will appear on the cover of Time Magazine this year. Bernie for that, and then Batman because it's the 80th anniversary.
But Bernie Sanders is more likely because he could be on Time Magazine next year. He could have been on Time Magazine last year and the year before that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a unanimous vote for Bernie Sanders.
Batman just lost. This is the best episode of We Dat ever.
Go back to your show.
You're not
Get
on
out
this
of here.
episode. I'm sorry,
Get out of
Brandon.
here. Stupid
And
idiot.
even if you were,
Batman.
you can swap it. It's gotta be
I
Bernie.
honestly had given
It
up
makes
at this
more
point.
sense.
I never thought that I would be
I
rid
never
of him
thought it was
ever
gonna
again.
That's all I got is the 80th.
Oh my god. Oh my goodness.
You lose!
Oh my goodness. Get out of here, Batman. There's gotta be more Batman.
But what
gonna
a
turn
great
around.
way to lose.
What a rate.
Maybe the best
From
one.
episode 5
Bernie.
to 22.
I feel like we should get him like a We Dat belt.
I don't even know what to say. I'd like to thank my co-hosts, Danny and David, for just being here by me this whole time and not being great about it, to be honest. They were kind of jerks about it this whole time. I just hate Batman so much, you know? And we're done with him. I might be clipping in the mic right now, and I'm so excited. I just can't believe that it's finally happened.
What better way to cap off
one of the
Batman's
best things that's ever
stay
happened.
on
It's
We
pretty
Dat
amazing.